Hey everybody, it's me, Remy the Comic Book Poser. I'm here today to welcome you to Enter the Poserverse. It's been a while, but we're finally back dealing with holidays, me getting COVID and taking kids to a debate tournament, and Jelly having to, do his actual job on Thursday nights from sometimes. It's kept us from getting together, but we're amped and we're ready to go, especially starting the new year off right with not just our first guest officially on Shop Talk, but one of my favorite creators, and I'll blow some proper smoke up his ass here in a few minutes. But before I bring the rest of the panel on, since neither of those California bums are here yet, I'm just going to play this.
Yeah. Good. I'm pretty good. All right. We're not doing this again, dog. I'm done.
The last one.
I can't.
I don't know what's happening. All I know is I was finishing some stuff up on my other computer, and all of a sudden Discord blew up with messages from Bugsy, which is never good because I think she's letting me know that she's driving here from California to murder me. And it was pictures of whatever that was and that video. So you can't unsee it, but we're here. So there you go. All right, I'm going to bring in the rest of the panel, and then I will properly introduce our guest. But it's been a hot minute. He now looks officially the Midwestern Dapper Dan homeless now that he's got all the California out of his system. Jelly, how have you been? How was your holidays?
Holidays were good. It's kind of a rarity when I actually get to spend time with my family on the actual holiday. And I got to this year, so it was pretty exciting.
Are you even on call or anything?
I've been on call since Monday, so I got off call this morning at 7 a.m. So
I meant for Christmas. You weren't even like
I was on call Christmas Eve, and that was it. Other than that, had Christmas off. I had 4 days around the New Year's off. Me and my significant other went to a cabin in the woods and enjoyed the new year. It was wonderful. I needed it.
Nice. And we'll see if clicking on the Okie magically makes him appear out of nowhere. If not, we'll just make fun of him. Nope, no J1 right now. But when J1 gets back in here, we will show the video that what was it? The last auction of the year when Gorkum showed up in the stream, and we got to see the cover for the exclusive. So J1 is gonna show this baby that I know that if you've been in on Meta's auction since the official reveal of the cover, you've been seeing everybody show off this amazing cover. But we'll let J1 share his screen real fast. We'll let them talk about their exclusive and what comes with it, and then we'll bring our guest in.
Oh, you're so quick. All right.
I mean, if anything, last weekend taught me that 13 seconds is plenty of time to accomplish greatness.
Fair enough. Wait, hold on.
Well done.
What the heck? Here we go. Hold on. I got to make sure I have
See,
it right.
we're all rusty.
I know I am.
It's been a month, and we're like, how do we talk to each other?
I know.
Where
I
are?
felt like I should be like, oh.
There we go.
There we go. So we'll bring in J1 Screen. We'll look at the epic ad for their dope exclusive.
Ah, nice.
All right, tell the good people about the book if they've not seen it, looked into it, any of that.
Jelly, you want to go first?
Sure, yeah. So let's see where to start with. So it's a new book from Source Point. It started off as a Kickstarter, and I remember how we came across it. Maybe I was just looking at Kickstarters or something. I can't remember. And we saw it was like a Universal Monsters kind of based book, and immediately, and J1 and I were kind of looking for a project to team up on. Saw Universal Monsters, thought Gorkum Demir, and it came out as good as I could have possibly hoped, and maybe better. So, and we wanted to bring something to the community that was high quality art, good story, and do it for as cheaply as possible. So we've kept our prices low. AMKM are distributing the books for us. There's a lot of goodies that come along with the books. With every purchase, you get a cover A of the book as a reader copy. You also get a piece of, or I should say, a print from Helvetica, which I don't know if J1's got it there next to him that he could show. It's Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein print that's really dope that we're just going to throw in the box too. I don't know if you want to go over the prices.
Oh yeah, man, no worries.
Yeah.
So, like Jelly said, we tried to do it as cheap as we could, and just like he said, with every order, you're going to get a free print by Helvetica, an awesome, and I have it, and I will find it, and I will show it later if that's okay. But of the print, but it's Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein, and it's awesome. You're going to get a free print of that from Helvetica, and then you're also going to get the let
me switch my camera.
Trade dress of cover A, right? So for $15, you're going to get our trade dress, our exclusive cover in a trade, along with the print, along with the free cover A to read it. That way you don't damage it. For $40, you're going to get the trade dress and the Virgin variant set, plus all the other goodies. For $75, we have a metal variant. It was limited to 20 copies total. Not to mention how limited the others are. The trade dress was limited to 100 copies, and there's 150 sets of the trade Virgin sets. And then we're doing 10 super, super limited medals. They're going to be CGC'd, signed, and remarked, and personalized by Gorkum Demir, besides being CGC graded. Now, those are high dollar. I'm not going to lie. They're $250. But part of the reason why they're so expensive is grading fees, sellers, like the fees to Gorkum, shipping them all the way to Turkey, having him ship them to where we're having them CGC'd from, and everything else. But like, that was about as low as we could get those and still bring them to people. There you go. There's the sketch. That's the sketch that Helvetica did. That's going to come, and you're going to get a free print of that in every copy, every order. So if you order 2 sets, you're going to get 2 copies of it. You're also going to get 2 copies of Cover A. That way you can buy one and give one to somebody else. But we wanted to make sure everybody got a Cover A just so they can read it, because that's the best part about comics. And nobody wants to read an exclusive because, damn it, it costs too much to do that too.
Yeah, I agree with that. The big box of comics that I have not touched.
Right.
So that's a great deal, and you can pick them up now on AMKM's website, amkmcomics.com, and we'll play the video again of whatever AM is doing to KM's ass again. But we've had our guest patiently waiting in the green room. It has been a while since I have gotten to play one of the first very crappy intro videos that I tried to make. So we're going to play it and bring in our guest. He is, like I said in the description of the video, I am pretty sure our guest tonight is one of, if not the busiest man in independent comics, that he constantly has Kickstarters up, right? And you can only have one project at a time. Sometimes they are books that he is leading a small creative team on. Some of them, they are larger, more collaborative efforts that, you know, I'm guessing if you have massive teams like you did on books like Cthulhu Invades Oz or the upcoming project of Cthulhu Invades Wonderland, that hurting all of these creators is like hurting a bunch of kittens, that you have a bunch of big creative personalities to push in directions. That I first met Travis about a year and a half ago when I think we talked about Cthulhu Invades Oz for the first time. And I've backed every one of his projects since then. All of his, you know, projects come in on time, if not sometimes early, even if we're dealing with printing delays, supply chain distributions, that he's probably made some kind of crossroads style deal with the devil to get just everything out to people on time and keeping the folks happy. So without further ado, we've got some questions for tonight's guest, Travis Gibb from Orange Cone Production.
When I'm flying in a plane or I'm on the street, there's a lot of famous people that I like to meet. They shake my hand and never ask my name, and they start asking questions that are always the same. Hey,
Travis, how goes it?
I wish that video went on longer. Like, I was ready. The minute you're into it, and Jelly was there, the minute you're into it, you shut that shit down, and we're like,
yeah.
I have to worry about the number of seconds of like the song length. So that's Biff from Back to the Future.
Sure, yeah. It's with him explaining all the questions he gets asked on a regular basis when he goes to cons.
So
right?
I don't want to have Biff come fight me and I end up in a pile of manure. So, all right. So
shit.
I gave you a very C- D+ introduction of who you are and what you do. So we'll bigotize you. Travis, teach these devils about yourself.
Yeah, I am Travis Gibb. I am indie comics creator. I've done things for all sorts of publishers, from Image to I've done things with Second Sight and Caliber and all sorts of stuff. But I'm most known for my own stuff, which I do on Kickstarter. So the 4 titles that people talk about are Brokedown and 4 Dead Bodies, Voodoo Nations, Cthulu Invades, that's Wonderland and Oz. Expired, we just did Holiday Spirits, and right now we're talking about Granite State Punk, which is my latest awesome comic and my favorite.
Ooh. Why is it your favorite?
Oh, it's just it's kind of it. So, like, I'll be 100% honest. So, I wanted to do something that is extremely marketable and extremely modern, right? I tried things. If you look at Brokedown and 4 Dead Bodies, it's a crime book, but it's bright, right? It's not different, which is cool. Like, and the people who get it. Like, oh, I like it. Especially if they like Quentin Tarantino or whatever, they'll really like the bright stuff because that's what he did in his movies. You know, he took it from The Godfather to out in LA. You know. Yeah. And then you go Voodoo Nations, kind of dark, but it's got little religious overtones and stuff like that. So this is kind of the mix of both, kind of concise stories, very personal. Like, I put a lot of personal stuff in here. I get to rant. I get to be very rambunctious. And it's got all the good dialogue that you liked from Brokedown. So it's kind of mixing all those together. The other thing is, and I'll be 100% frank because we're friends, Poser, I came in some money. So I spent more money than I ever have on a comic because I wanted this to be the thing, right? I was like, I'm going to make one shot the way I want to do it with the top tier, because you make concessions in indie. It's not that I don't love any of my art team. It's just I can't afford what I want a lot of times.
Yeah.
So I did it. So this is exactly the book I want. This is exactly the look I want. This is the exact feel I want. All of those things rushing together produce this really cool book.
Nice. So I know the last time we talked, it was when the Kickstarter for Brokedown 4 was active, and you were talking about how momentous that was because Brokedown was kind of your first creator-owned title that you finally got to wrap up. What, that was like 6 years in the making to get that final issue out. So from all of the different types of books that you've worked with, the creative teams that you've either put together or been part of, what did you like? What created a new source of inspiration for you to kind of go, you know, I first tweeted out like, this is not a crime book.
Right.
Who the hell is this Travis Gibb? What inspired you to go, I'm going to show a different kind of story? Because it's not crime, you know, it's not in the crime lane. It's not solely in like the Voodoo Nations, like Cthulhu, like mythos lane. So what made you go, here's another shade of me?
I think it's hearing feedback, right? So one of the things I hate about indie creators, and I'm going to throw them on blast. Like, I know you've interviewed a lot over the years, and there's always that 1 or 2 guys who are just like, Poser, I just want you to know, I wrote all these. This is 48 volumes of my book, right? It's all done. I'm ready. It's all we just got to make it done. I feel that those people don't listen to their fans. They're not listening to the fan base on what they want. So I really have spent this long time building a fan base and listening. Like, they're like, I really love this about Brokedown. This is why I don't like Voodoo, why I like Brokedown. They talk about the dialogue. They talk about the I don't exactly know everything's going on and get revealed. They like that part. And then when they go to Voodoo, they talk about the first issue being so concise and tight, right? If you have a little bit of religious background, that first issue, you don't ever need to read another issue of Voodoo Nations, and you have a story that you're very happy with. So doing that, so putting those two together and making this book did that. And I wanted to, I didn't mean to, like, so the premise, how the story came together was really interesting. Hey, Chop and Drop. White Pages 9.8.
You can keep talking. I'm just
so close to 9.9, but it was at 9.9. So I listened to talk radio. I don't know why, I just do, and it's not like political talk radio. It's like pop culture talk radio. And this guy told a story, and the story is this: he went to his childhood home and said, "Hey, I remember that buried a time capsule somewhere here, and I think it's by a tree. Can I dig for it? And they're like, yeah, go ahead. So he starts digging and digging, and he comes out with this box. And he brings this box to the lady who let him dig in the backyard. Hey, do you want to open this with me to see what's in it? I'm really excited. And this woman gets white-faced and goes, that's my dead husband's ashes. And he drops them and runs. That's the story that he's told on the radio. I don't know if it's a true story. I don't know if he made it up, whatever the case may be. But that story of digging up your past and like digging into it really resonated with me. So I made this comic set in my hometown. Like I'm pretending like I'm not writing any more comics. Like that, this is kind of what I did here. I set it in my home state of New Hampshire. I use New Hampshire mythology because I don't think anybody's ever really done that. So I use the Old Man in the Mountain. So I don't know if you know a lot about New Hampshire history, but on every plate, this is a real license plate. Well, this is a fake one, but it looks like the real one. There's this face, and that's an old man in the mountain. So there's this rock formation that used to exist that's really up there in the mountains. So I told an origin story of that. What if that was protecting a coven of witches from Salem? What does that look like? So we kind of mixed all that together, added the punk rock element. I also channeled a lot of my growing up. I come from a drug and alcohol family. They were heavily into that stuff. And I use that as a story crutch. I use the AA program. I use prison. So I use all that stuff together to build this book. And everyone who's read it really feels the anxiety and the punk rock, and you feel the story. It doesn't feel like a normal Travis Gibb book, except for the wittiness and the dialogue. And but it's really positive. It's the best thing I've ever written. Like, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good.
Like you said, with other indie creators, right? I know that you have always been very self-aware of your work. That I remember, like, as Voodoo Nations was about to come out, you were like, hey, look at this page. Does this look like it makes sense? And I think, you talking about creating a fan base, I think that's a very, like, interesting quality of, like, you have people who, read a lot of books, talk about a lot of books, and you're like, does this come out well? Or I remember, I think you made fun of me because I was like, I think in my copy of Cthulhu, there's a comma in a weird place here. And you're like, oh, God damn it, you didn't get the edited one. Like, working on that. But, you've always been like, I think I have something good. And, when everybody's been like, nah, man, you just hit it. Like, you play the humble card well. So I think it's very interesting to hear you out of the gate. Like, I've put together all of these other books that I know a bunch of people are into. Welcome to the next level of what Travis Gibb can do. So I'm very excited about that, especially if we're getting, some of the personal elements of, connections to New Hampshire that I think the only things I know about New Hampshire are probably dramatized bits of history that I learned from the West Wing.
it's definitely and Stephen King, whatever he told you.
Oh yeah, that too. So I'm trying to get the.
Well, and one of the things I'll point out too, I put my money where my mouth is too. Like, you can tell that I mean it. Not only is this Kickstarter doing better than all my other ones, it has 0 retail tiers. So I'm known in the indie community to have retail tiers. I normally get between 5 and 10, which is higher than the average Kickstarter, just so you know. And most of them will get store exclusives. I've got store exclusives. I got a few here in Florida. I got a couple in Texas. I got in New Hampshire a couple. So these people want store exclusive. Even, I was even talking with the Burrito Boys. They wanted to do an exclusive for one of my books. I took all that off the table because I know that this is special, and I want to be able to, when it comes to the retail market, when I have to sell it to you again, I want to sell it and make it special again. Like, I want to give you new cool covers. I want to give you some badass stuff because I think this book is worth that secondary market that I've been avoiding getting in. Like I've just been too busy. Like, people go, hey, why aren't you at source with that? I don't submit to them because I'm too busy making comics. I know I need to stop and do that, but I'm too busy.
Yeah. Well, I think too that becomes the other thing that keeps us as fans kind of, re-engaged, like J1 and Jelly's exclusive is something that started as a Kickstarter.
Right, sure.
And, that would make me want to pick that book up again. And I've, backed some of the Kickstarter books that have been re-released through someone else. And it's like, it's the same thing. Or like this page is in color, right? Like,
right.
I feel like, the only other people that I've seen do Kickstarters crossing the streams well might be the folks at Scout. But that's because you have people higher up on the food chain who are already creating things for Scout,
right?
Know that they can re-release it, and that's a good way to, like I've backed all of the White Ash things, and 5 feet away from me is the way too goddamn big White Ash season 2 #1 that's massive that I can't put it anywhere, but I know and have invested in that story that I now have a $10 coffee table sized book that if anybody touches, I'll kill him.
Right.
So I think that becomes a good way of, once people know and love the story, now it creates some degree of intimacy with the exclusive of how can they make that, special to their store or to the creative team behind it or that kind of stuff. So I think that's a pretty cool approach.
I've got a question for you that you may be able to answer, because I was trying to tell I want to show my wife. Do you remember the comic that came out about a year ago or so, and it wrote stuff on the bottom? Like it had extra commentary and it made jokes and made fun of itself and did all sorts of stuff on the bottom of the white space. You know what I'm talking about? It had the panels, and then at the bottom, it was kind of like a second story. Like you'd read the comic and then you'd go through and read the commentary.
I know what you're talking about.
Right. And it was a very popular book too. Like I know.
And that was something that we talked about on the Burritos Discord, because we were all like, have you seen it? Like, this is wild. They colored outside the lines. That's not where words go, but Jesus, that's awesome. I'm going to have to, now when we're all done, instead of going to bed, I'm going to dig and just start throwing books around like I'm creating.
I need to find it, but that's what I'm going to do when it gets to the direct market. I'm going to rewrite that at the bottom, so everyone who rebuys it will get something brand new. I'm going to do all that, and it's very punk rock, right? It's a very punk rock thing to do.
Oh yeah,
so it's the vibe of the book.
All right, so let's pull up the Kickstarter page.
Yeah.
And you can. Here's the other thing that I will say about Travis, and this is something that I've pointed out when I both have interviewed Travis before and have talked to other people who do things on Kickstarter, is you want to talk about a creator who supports the community. The number of Kickstarters that have been created on Travis's, account are, let's see if I can do the math, 12 created, 590 backed. So you back 500% more
right.
than what you created on here. And I think, that's the other thing that we've talked about that I look for on Kickstarter projects, or when I've interviewed the couple of people who this is their first Kickstarter project. One of my bits of advice has been, you should go back some other projects around the community so people can see that you're vested. And I think that's one of the things that always blows me away. And as somebody who follows you on Kickstarter, I have learned about books from you. I think there's been maybe only one instance where I've beat you to backing a book. And because I know Travis is going to get on this at 8:01.
Right.
I'm going to back you like, I was there before the Gibb. So break down what the story of Granite State Punk is, and I'll kind of show off some of the art that's here on the page as you see it.
Yeah, so Granite State Punk is about a guy named Zeke. He's been in prison for a couple of years because of drug and alcohol abuse. He is just recently released to his parents' home. So his parents have passed away, and they gave him this home. So he's staying there, but he's on house arrest. He's only supposed to leave for AA meetings, but even though he's supposed to go to AA meetings, he's still drinking. He doesn't give a crap because he's punk rock. This leads him to he's kind of fighting depression, fighting anxiety, fighting all that stuff. And as he lives in his house, he starts remembering why he started drinking in the first place. And his past starts catching up with him, and he finds out he may be connected to some witches and some. Hey, have you even seen that? Did you get a chance to see that yet today?
I saw that in the Substack today, that this cover was announced today.
Yeah, brand new cover, and you get it. It's you because you're a pledge level. It's absolutely free.
I'm excited for that. When Travis was on the Burritos channel on Saturday night, I think it's safe to say that I had been drinking a little bit. So randomly in the chat, Travis is like, yeah, this is coming and this is coming. So at one point in the chat, I'm like, Travis, just tell me how many dollars I have to push or what button to click on to get all of the cool shit without me making me sell a kid.
Right.
So, yeah, I saw that cover today. There's the metal cover.
That's the metal cover, yeah. And that's the punk remark. So you get the black and white one, and you can either have me remark it, and I'll remark it. Me or my wife will remark it. We'll do some cool stuff like we did in the ride. Or like Poser wanted both. You can get both. We can make a deal for that. We can make that happen. But yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so Zeke finds out that he's connected to a coven of witches. And all shit goes crazy. We got skull golems. We've got evil witches. All some really cool stuff. And what's cool about Zeke is we tell this like SLC Punk. So I break the fourth wall. So I'm talking to you a lot in the book. So it's
well, I like that too, because again, it's a very punk rock kind of element of defying the notions of, you know, you're an outsider observing a story in a comic and not, you know, part of the party. So seeing those kinds of things pop up in these preview pages is very, very cool.
Yeah. I love it. I love everything about this book. And if you can't tell, so one of the things I didn't know, and actually till a recent interview, the guy who drew this, his mentor is guess who? Sean Murphy, Punk Rock Jesus. You know, you can tell. Like I didn't even realize it until like I was done. I was like, oh yeah, I was really wanting Sean Murphy. like, and you could tell the veins of him.
Yeah. So the other question that I want to ask is that this is branded as a one shot. So, you know, I'm going to inevitably ask the question of is there a possibility of more? And then kind of the sub question that is, if this is truly a one shot and this is the most momentous piece of literature of comic book creation that you have put together, why would you limit yourself to just one issue of this book?
So the couple answers, that's a long one to break down. So first off, when you read this book, you will get what you got with Brokedown. Like, and I'm serious, like you'll get that big of a story in one. Because I really was like, again, I came into some money, not all the money, Poser. So I was able to do that. But it's not that I'm limiting myself. It's if I do this, I want to do it like the old Constantines. If you remember the original Hellblazer, they were all one-shot stories that when you got them all, they kind of connected, right? Especially if you look at the trying to think of who it was right now. I'll come to it in a minute. But if you look at some of the runs, they're a series of one shots instead of miniseries. So it could be
something like a Silver Coin or an Ice Cream Man, where same thing, different things are happening to different people in the same universe,
right?
And there's some kind of thread that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so I'd make them as a series of one shots instead of that, and that allows me again, because he's very expensive. It's not that he's not worth it. It's finding the resource to do that, because I can literally make a couple of other books for it. And he's worth every goddamn penny, because this book is gorgeous. I mean, those covers are gorgeous, everything about it. It's just trying to figure that out. And that's the big balance of indie comics, right? Is how much can you afford versus how long can you afford it before you get that break, whatever that break looks like.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. All right, I'm gonna break from talking to you for a second because I said I was going to do this at 10 o'clock and it's 10:06. So I made the announcement in this Tuesday's pull list video that every Tuesday when I do my pull list video, where I'm probably wearing the same clothes for 3 days in a row, that I'm going to give away some kinds of books to just anybody who comments on it. I don't care if you're a patron, if you're a channel member, I don't give a shit about any of that. That if you are watching the video and you literally go comment on that with something you're excited about this week, a book you like, you just say hi, any of those things, then you get entered to win what I am lovingly calling the poser pile. And it's either, it's going to be books from, you know, that week or the week before that I've picked up. And then as I'm packing your box up, once I know who wins, I might slide a little bit extra love in there. So in your inaugural poser pile, if I click a button in a second and you are the winner, you get this week's Iron Man, Captain America Iron Man. Nope, it's Iron Man number 16, but it's a legacy homage cover to classic Iron Man. You get a book from last week. My favorite book from last week was Rain, or 2 weeks ago was Rain. That this book to me was just kind of next level of weird shit. You get the spoiler variant to the X Deaths of Wolverine. That the Lives of Wolverine was in my top 5 last week. You get the A cover to Stray Dogs Dog Days number 2, and I've got a horror variant of number 1 that I will throw in there. So you've got the set, and then of course you're getting Saga 55. Like, I think everybody knows that this is the book that has the highest level of anticipation and expectations coming into it in the week, that, you know, everything else might be playing for a close second and favorite. So you definitely get these 5 books, and then maybe a little bit of something extra once I see who wins. So I'm going to share my screen again and pull up the random YouTube comment picker. Oh, there we go. Now that, go comment on this video as I'm doing the drawing now. So share screen, this tab. All right. So there's the link.
Ooh, that's fancy.
This is the one thing that I see everybody else use, that I can just paste a video in there and it goes, okay, we'll look for your comments. And it's going to be a little slow, of course. But yeah, the other thing that I'll probably add, I believe on the last 2 projects where there's been a get the Orange Cone Productions sampler package, basically, that I've done that twice. So I will add one of Travis's books in there to get you hooked. All right, so here we go. Our random winner of the inaugural poser pile is Cheps Pops, who has the luck of the gods smiling on him, because I think Chep won an exclusive. It was either mine or Meta's exclusive from in my Whatnot auction. So congratulations, Chep.
And his comment is he's going to Disneyland. So, like,
yeah,
that's a double win. He's going to Disneyland as well. Like, so he's winning all over the place.
He's winning all over the place and
winning life.
some books. Winning in life, yes. So congratulations, Chep. We will do this every Thursday, and if for some reason we don't go live on Thursday, I will be adding in the wheel either somewhere on Friday. All right, so I want to get back to looking at your Kickstarter page, and I want to talk about some of the tiers, because the other thing, again, I like as I pine over you is, you know, much like J1 and Jelly said that their aim in creating an exclusive was to create something affordable. I really feel like you have some of the most affordable Kickstarter tiers that I've seen.
Yeah.
So what do you think about? And even though you all have heard Travis say tonight, I came into some money, that has not changed the pledge levels. That this, for the most part, is the same level of bang for your buck across the books. I think the only exception was Cthulhu Invades Oz, that it was a little bit more expensive because it was an anthology-sized book.
Yeah. When you're doing trades, it's really hard unless you print a massive amount to really get a really great discount on them. And yeah,
but what makes you aim low?
What's that?
What makes you aim for these lower price tiers?
I want people to be able to afford it. Like it's that, I actually just recently, when you used to back our stuff, I used to not charge shipping. I started charging shipping. And that's only because of how hard it is to get bags and boards. It really has nothing to do with the shipping. The shipping price is the shipping price, but it's the bag and boards.
Yeah.
But yeah, I try to give good stuff. Digital, that gets you all of our samples of our issue ones.
I like to think of the samplers, the drug dealer pack, I'm gonna get you hooked. But then right here for and you can get the full collection for $35, which is every issue of everything.
Right.
But here,
in fact, let's give one of those out tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll give one away.
What?
I'll come up with an easy way to do that, and it might just be if anybody was here tonight, you comment something in the chat, we'll give something. We'll give a digital collection away or a drug dealer pack away.
Yeah. Let's
awesome.
give some drug dealer packs away.
There you go. So we'll get you hooked to Travis, and then when you end up poor like me because you're like, just take all my goddamn money.
Right.
So I can get every cover of your fire ass book.
Right.
We will do that. But I like, again, $12 is cheaper than standard for a cover A and a digital bundle. So I like that. And then where it gets higher, right? Everything that you back, you get at least the digital version. But then I'm liking, right, the A and B, the pick two covers.
Yeah, if you go in the middle, you'll be able to see the pictures, so it's easier to explain. So yeah, if it's a physical award, you get so that's cover A and the digital, then you get two covers and then the digital. I like doing it this way instead of giving you individual. I'll just give you the price that I would charge you and give you all the back ones too. So A, B, and C is going to be $40. And basically it gets it cheaper, $50 for all four.
Yeah.
And then for the collector's kits, this is where I get a little different because I add the poly bag, I add a magnet.
That's cool.
We add
I was
prints.
digging the poly bag.
This is where you get the black and white punkified cover. We'll get you that.
One, I upgraded to the Deluxe collector's kit, not just for this, but I think my first collector kit that I did was for Cthulhu Invades Oz.
Yeah.
And just the level of stuff in there was mind-blowing.
So yeah, you'll get the punkified cover. You'll get the metal variant. We're only making 50 of them, which is pretty cool, which are almost sold out, by the way.
Nice.
And we added, because we're doing so well, I got to add a cover D to that package. So anybody who got that $100 pledge, I went through another cover, and I didn't try to get you to buy a new add-on. I didn't try to get
that one.
So we added that cover. And I'm going to be honest, I'll share it here. A little guy named Stefano does a lot of second sight covers, does a lot of scout covers, Iron Head, Freak Show. He is working on a cover right now, so we'll have that at the last week of the campaign.
Well, and the other thing that I like too is that you always put together cool stretch goals as well, right? That we know that we got the art print, the Yankee swappers.
Yeah. We had a 4-edition
pages.
And that's
I missed the patch.
Yeah.
And then I also like that you do this, and I don't see a lot of other folks take this approach, is that not just is there the stretch goals for financial, but for the number of individual backers, you are getting access to more digital books from creators on the team. That what I think for Cthulhu Invades Oz, it was something like 15 or 20 additional digital books were unlocked.
Oh yeah,
Is that right?
Yeah, it got crazy. It got crazy towards the end. So we're going to keep doing that. We're going to keep adding some really cool things to really pump up the value of that. Because I want you, when you back a Kickstarter, I want you to get, if you're a digital guy, because you can't afford it, I get it. I want to give you as much digital content as you can, keep it cheap. And the digital copy is $3. Most people charge $5 on the Kickstarters. I'll give you 2 for $3. The goal is to get, the books in your hands. So I'm going to do whatever I can to get as many books as I can in your hands.
And I think that's a very sweet goal. So how much time is left on?
We've actually got a decent amount of time. We're actually doing really, really well. So we've got 20 days left. So we're early in the campaign. We've got a decent amount of time. But if you want those medals, if you want some of these covers, they're starting to go away. So you want to back now. I think I'm only at 5 more of those medals, I think, or actually 4, because someone bid just a little while ago in my last stream. So
nice. And the other news that you shared on with the Burrito Boys that made me want to throw more money at you. What's the new item that's coming with this Kickstarter that you have never added to a package before?
Oh, the T-shirt?
Yeah.
We got the Yankee Swapper. That's at the bottom there. So Yankee Swappers is a fictional punk band set in this universe. All so we created a shirt for the first time. We've never done a shirt before.
Oh, now I'm totally in, because that, I love that, man. It gives me super Iron Maiden vibes.
This guy is great. It's really funny. So I'll tell you the little story. So I had this guy create this cover, and he's Indonesian, and he didn't understand that the Americans wore British uniforms. He's like, but that's a British uniform. I was like, yes, but the Americans also wore them during this war. They were just different colors. He just couldn't fathom it. And he put the British flag behind it. And I was going to change it and go, well, they're Yankees and I'm trying to do American. But I was like, you know what? That's a punk rock thing.
Yeah, it totally works.
A punk rock thing would call them the Yankee Swappers and put a British flag behind them for the irony and for, the British versus American punk rock scenes, right?
Well, I mean, I think for sure, the Union Jack is iconic for punk rock.
That's there. It's a little on the pricey side. I'll be honest. It's $28, and the reason why is I don't do this. So I went to the one place that I know you're not going to get a shirt that's going to die. So I got it, but because of that, I'm throwing in some stickers and some other stuff for you to make up for the basically $8 difference. Shirts normally cost about $20 or $25. It's a little bit more than that, but I want to make sure. I'm going to spend the extra money. I'm literally making $0 on it because it's $21 to get the shirt and then the shipping, because I'm not charging extra on the shipping, and then I'm adding the stickers. I'm getting nothing. But if you want a badass shirt, let's get you a badass shirt.
I do want a badass shirt. That's awesome.
I just want a Brokedown and 4 Dead Bodies shirt now. So once you get into the shirt game.
Right. I do have, I will tell you this, Poser. I have art for shirts. I have noir art for both Brokedown and Cthulhu that are really, really dope. Oh, and a Voodoo Nations shirt that wasn't a shirt. So I asked a guy to do a cover for me, and he does this really cool style. But when I panned out after a day of looking at it, I was like, this is familiar. It's Sad Emo with my voodoo priest. He's sitting in the same Sad Keanu pose. It's fantastic.
That is awesome.
I think Pose is frozen.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
I like it. I like that face. It's a good face of excitement.
There you go.
I'm glad to see how the team got
the almost final set, but it's been a while. There you go. We can collaborate on a book of the saga of my dental implants. So nobody wants. It will be the least Kickstarter project ever. All right. Anything else you want to say about Granite State Punk or the Kickstarter before we move over to the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about tonight?
No. Just check it out, granitestatepunk.com. Read the 5 pages that are there. It's really, really something special. I'm not just saying that because I wrote it. Like, this is the book that I want on the shelf, right? If you're digging, the horror vibes that we've been getting from Vault or like the Stuff That Killed Children, it's got that same element of suspense and horror and fun.
Nice. So we had a conversation on maybe our second or third episode about Substack that I know the moment that James Tynion, thought about a Substack, that J1 was camping at the front of the line, waiting and ready to go, because I don't know if there's anybody who is a bigger fan of Tynion than J1, right? And I know that a lot of creators have kind of gone that route and are all doing different things, right? That, you could back Chip Zdarsky or Kelly Thompson or Tynion's Substack at that founder level and get access to like an exclusive cover, or you can back Scott Snyder's and get access to like his comic book classes. But you have done something different with the people who back, support, pledge. I don't know the right Substack vocabulary. So talk about what you're doing with the folks who support your Substack, regardless of if they just subscribe for the free newsletter or they are a paid supporter.
Sure. Yeah. So, this may shock you guys, but I'm not James Tynion. I'm not Donnie Cates. I'm not Kids Love Chains. I'm not Scott Snyder. So I can't offer you all the cool ass shit that they can offer you. And I pay for Donnie, Chip, and Scott. So I get it. I'm in all their groups and do all the stuff. And if Donnie was here right now, I know he doesn't watch this, but you haven't done a boring ass Substack, those little videos, in 2 weeks, and I want my money back because I was promised. If anybody could, get that message out to Donnie and Ryan.
Done. Everybody go put this at Donnie Cates right now.
I'm going to tag him on this video.
Travis Gibb is throwing down the gauntlet.
Yeah. I'm seeing Ryan Stegman this weekend at a show, and I'm going to address it directly. I'll stand in the long line. I was like, I don't want you to sign nothing. You owe me 2 videos. Anyways, so the free version is just my newsletter. So it's a lot of pitching. I show you some behind the scenes of what I'm doing, but not a lot. And I talk about what book's coming next. As Poser says, I'm a busy guy. My Kickstarters deliver normally within a month of stuff. Holiday Spirits is what he was talking about. I got that out in 3 weeks with a paper shortage. I will tell you, Scout Comics didn't get to ship some books because of what I did. I'm just pointing that out there, but that's all right. You guys got your books. So I do that, and they come out on a regular. So that's what you're getting on the free version. If you pay me a little bit, you get to do something cool. And what that is if you back my Kickstarters, you get a free Substack exclusive cover. That cover I don't show on the Kickstarter. You get it back. Actually, let me revise. If you are even on the free one, you can get it, but you have to pay for it. You have to pay an additional amount of money for it. But if you're not, you get it for free. But if you're a paid member, you also get to create a comic with me. We're going to create a comic this year, which is really cool. We're going to go from start to finish of a comic. So I just invited everyone on part 1, kind of like the free crack, like as we've been talking about, the drug deal candy. So everybody got to vote, and they're voting right now for the next 20 days. We have votes up to vote on my next comic book. You guys get to dictate what my comic's going to be. I gave you 4 options of stories that I want to tell, and we're gonna do that. And after that's done, I'm gonna show you guys the script. We're gonna pick out the logo. We're gonna pick out the art team together. I'm gonna go, here's people I can afford who I think would fit this. We're gonna pick that guy. We're gonna go over every page. We're gonna pick the colorist. We're gonna do the whole 9 together. I'm gonna show you how I make a comic book.
Wow, that's cool.
Together. And then when I'm done, I'm still not done because it's your comic with me. We're gonna decide we're gonna do it. Do we want to Kickstart it? Do we want to not Kickstart it, go straight to publishers? What do we want to do with it? You guys are in control with me to do all that stuff, which I think is going to be really fun. It's something that I can do because it's something on my level, and you can go along with that ride and make this book. So you guys are basically executive producers of this book.
I mean, is this going to be like the first kind of community sourced comic book?
I don't know, maybe.
I mean, I can't think of another project like this.
Yeah. And we've had conversations before that, Jelly and J1 did their exclusive together recently. I did an exclusive with AMKM, and we were all part of the crossover exclusive with Meta and AMKM. And we talked about how kind of the process of that first exclusive was a shit show from top to bottom because all of us were novices at the process, right? That we didn't know the conversations. We didn't know the deadlines. We didn't know anything about everything getting kind of put together. So and we've talked about how the experiences in the conversations with, like their conversations and work with Gorkum on their cover, or, me talking to AMKM or Nate a little bit.
No, that's something you should just interrupt. I want to know what you're getting for beer. Like, don't just put a sign.
Oh, J1's got some good stuff.
Oh, does he? All
yeah.
Right.
Oh, and we need to talk about what's back in the background there for J1, because I just noticed. Oh, Eric from Two Boys and Their Pops, thank you for the love there, brother. Right now, you are the only person on I'm giving away some of my extra limited Kickstarter covers from previous stuff of Travis, plus some extra love in a box. But I think that's one of the things that made your Kickstarter appealing to me, right? Do I want to listen to Scott Snyder talk about how to write a comic? Yeah, because I like listening to a director's cut of movies, right? Sure. That I like that thought process, but not just, your ambition through this Substack, your approach on Substack is, showing us how the sausage is made, right? From idea inception to the end point of the book. And I think that's, just like when Jelly was like, is there any other fan created comic? I can't think of anybody who's been willing to give that level of access to fans, right? To people who are interested in your work, right? Because you knew I would back your your Substack because I back all of your books no matter what. So I want the dope exclusive. But then when I was like, we get a look behind the curtain, we get to watch how the industry operates through all of these conversations, these pairings, the Kickstarter versus trying to get it published. That to me is just unparalleled levels of access that I don't think anybody has ever done, unless it was like, here's a Marvel documentary where someone was like, here's how I made my Captain America comic. But that's sanitized from, the drama of the process. Umpty, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate that.
Well, and that's why I wanted to go the extra mile too, and really make you guys help with all the decisions. Like, if you guys want to get your heart broken with us and us get rejected, let's do it. Let's send it out.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
If that's what you guys want to do, cool. If you guys want to do the Kickstarter, then cool. And then I get to show you some really cool Kickstarter tactics that I use to put together my tiers, what that looks like, whatever the outcome, it's always going to be fun. And you guys get say on characters and some dialogue and stuff like that, there's still, my stories that I put together, but I want you guys to come along and see what I do and be part of it. And this also includes all my other stuff that I'm working on behind the scenes, like Voodoo, the rest of the Brokedown stuff that eventually I'll get to, some stuff that I haven't announced that I'm going to put on the Substack tomorrow that you and some of the paid subscribers will get of things that they don't know about. I'll show some pages. So you get the regular stuff that you'd get from any Substack, but I want to do something special if I'm going to get your money. And I don't want a lot of backers. Like this, that's the other crazy thing.
Oh, yeah, you don't want too many for that project.
Kitchen.
It's going to be choose your own adventure. Wild.
Right. I want him to die, but we just created him. Yeah, but that's what I want, and I paid you $5.
Yeah, right.
It'd be like the smallest shareholder at a stock, stock owners meeting. No, I paid for this. I have the floor.
No, we need to sell.
I have one share. That gives me the right to speak.
Yeah.
All right, but I'll pull up now that it finally loaded because I'm on the government computer, and she's running slower than the Mac does. I'll pull up Travis's Substack so you can kind of see that again, right? If you want the basic newsletter, that's what his newsletter transitioned over from. That, you back anything, you go to any of the websites that are created for the books, right? You could opt in to sign up for his newsletter just like you can on, anything else. And then that at the beginning of the year, we got the, new year,
welcome to Substack,
list. And then, right, we've got little updates every couple of days of here's things that you can look at for Granite State Punk before. Oh God, it's just moving super slow.
Right.
But it was like you can look at it, and then here's the launch day, and then today's update that came out was the new cover D reveal, and the announcement of what was it, like 12 different potential plot areas.
No, it's just 4. It's 4 different books.
Why do I remember a longer list? Probably because
it's probably because I put them in genres. There's a whole bunch of other stuff in there that you probably thought was extra stuff because I labeled it what genre it was in and stuff like that. But
yeah. But again, I think that's pretty cool, and it's again a new level of access to the industry that we're all obsessed with. And we'll go to Eric for a question really quick. Eric he loves his comics. He is also a fellow educator. He wants to know what your biggest influence was in the world of comics.
All right. So first I want to point in the big important thing is the was, right? So I'm going to answer the was. It was Brian Michael Bendis when he was doing Jinx and Goldfish before he did Ultimate Spider-Man. Like the crime guy with heavy dialogue, like that was it. I was like, if this guy can write a comic that is basically you took a picture and traced over it, like I can make a comic and I can make it. So Bendis was my thing. And then I remember being like, you motherfucker, you sold out. I was so mad at Ultimate Spider-Man because like it's not real Spider-Man. Right? You're like, you're not writing real Spider-Man. Like if you're gonna sell out for effing Spider-Man, not this ultimate crap. And then I buy the first issue and gave it away because I was just like, he doesn't even turn into Spider-Man in this. It's just him talking to fucking Norman. Fuck this. Fuck you, Brian Michael Bendis.
Yeah. Yes.
So I was so mad because I was following his trajectory. I was literally writing him fan mail. I was working at McDonald's at the sign, sending him the hash brown like Monopoly things. Like I stole a sheet of them and sent it to him. like he was my dude. And then to see him sell out like that, and then he obviously did Daredevil and stuff like that. And I was like, all right, like I'm cool with you again. And then eventually he was like, I'm going to decide whatever the fuck I want if I like continuity or not. And then we started we're not as friendly as we used to be as we've grown old and wise. But yeah, he was my biggest influence of the chain. The other one was Rochester, New Hampshire, where this book is from, is right next to Dover, New Hampshire. Like it's an extra city, which is where the Ninja Turtles are from. So growing up, Kevin and Eastman, because I'm at that age, they were around at comic stores. Kevin Eastman, Peter Lard. Like, you got to think, for me, my specific area where I lived, we had the Ninja Turtles that were blowing the fuck up. By the time I could afford to buy comics, Image was blowing the fuck out. I was like, Image Comics, indie comics is easy. Like, I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about. like my comparison of what indie is. And I think that that's actually one of my secrets of success when people like talk about it. It's because I never knew what, and even like, I'll even go one step further. So when I was done, when I went to college, it was the cross-gen years. So the cross-gen was blowing up. So I was like, indie comics is fucking easy. Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
You're like gloriously ignorant.
Right. Because I lived in a bubble. It's those people who live in a bubble, like the rich people who never like had to struggle. Like, I lived in this bubble where indie comics are super easy. You just fucking make it and they'll buy it.
Yeah, you can. I mean, look at Ninja Turtles. Like, who would make that?
Right.
Well, and now like how we have like the SAT, ACT like comparison that Brian Michael Bendis' Spider-Man is to Travis Gibb as who Spider-Man is to Remy's.
Right.
Because all of the things that you just said about Bendis on Spider-Man is everything that I said about Nick Spencer.
Right.
The other thing that I want to say is, originally I thought one of the wildest reveals that I've ever had in an interview was Matthew Erdman, who wrote Terminal Punks. He wrote a Power Rangers book. I can't remember the one that he's on Witchblade on Vault right now. His prior job before he made his first big break with his wife in a book was working at a social media company or doing social media for an egg roll company. Now that is topped by you were sending Bendis Monopoly pieces from the hash browns. Like, come on, man.
Hold on.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
Let's see if I got it here. It's here.
Hey, Deadpools. I hope you're not.
So this is my sketchbook. I've got some really good stuff in here, but I will show. I happen to go right to the page. Just kind of proof when I had but since we're in here and to show some respect, I'll show a couple of good ones. Let's see a couple of good ones. Guys are classics. Let's go. Where we got? Oh, this is a funny one. So that's Mike Mcdonald, had Hellboy, as you know. I asked him to draw Magneto. He drew Hellboy and wrote Mag Who. How can you get mad? Like, you can't even get mad.
No, you're like that's.
I paid for this one for a few years. This is Carl Moline did Avengers Arena, did Loners, did Warriors, did Route 66.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a beautiful piece. I want to get. So this is the great one who's doing his final tour, George Perez. He's there 2001, 2014. Can you believe he got better somehow? Like, it's crazy to think that Bendis ever got that Perez.
I just can't believe this is going to be his final signings and stuff. Like, he's such a staple.
David Mack. Like, we could go all day in this. This is like the who's of comics. Basically, if I die, what you do is you go, I'll help you sell all your comics, no problem. Just give me that sketchbook.
Yes.
And then you flip that sketchbook, it's going to be worth more than those comics. Even though I've literally corrected every Spider-Man since I was 10 years old. Like, I've got them all. I've got all the Ninja Turtles. I've got tons of pretty much. People try to get me to buy first appearances, and I'm like I bought it when it came out because I just buy all Marvel and DC. Like, it's no big deal. Like, away with you. Like,
yeah.
Deadpools, thank you for the super chat. We'll go to one more question from Eric that I think is interesting, given the different kinds of stories that you've written. So, we can talk about your universes, and then maybe something like Cthulhu a little bit separately. What do you do in terms of like world building and brainstorming and that kind of stuff before you jump in and go, here's the book?
Right. So I have two universes. I follow the Neil Gaiman's thing. I don't know if you know this, but everything Neil Gaiman writes, everything is in one universe. Like he puts it all in one universe. It doesn't make sense to us, but for him, like it makes sense. And that's why you never see like the way magic works ever contradicts itself in any of Neil Gaiman's books, like because it's all one form. So I kind of do the same thing. So I have a supernatural world, I have the regular. So when I was dealing with the crime stuff, it's a murder, even though it like felt like a Quentin Tarantino movie, it ends up being a whodunit. So you've got to figure out, those pieces need to be very well mapped out. What the gangs are, what their motivations are, who they are, and the repercussions of that. So I have to flesh that out. So I have pages of notes that kind of flesh all that stuff out. On the other side, when I do like a Voodoo Nations or a Granite State Punk, I basically have to flesh out what I need for the story and how much of that needs to be told and not told, right? You need to have all these vast backstories and how these things work, but you don't want to overcome it. So I do write notes and kind of build those things, but I don't overstretch it, right? I don't have like page and pages of universes and stuff like that. Just more of the basics of here's how it is. Here's the important years of this person's life, because that's what makes a character real, is knowing what happened in their childhood a little bit. So I kind of write a little bit of that.
Nice. Hey, John, thanks for stopping in. Umpty, one of our elder statesmen in the chat, says, same thing you did, right? Could buy a grab bag of indie comics for $25 shipped, right? So anybody will buy it. So there you go. I think that's cool. But again, for those of you who are just tuning in, we're talking to Travis Gibb, who is the head honcho at Orange Cones Productions, the creator behind titles like Exiled, Brokedown, and 4 Dead Bodies. Voodoo Nations, was the kitten wrangler on Cthulhu Invades Oz, and soon to be Cthulhu Invades Wonderland. And we're talking about his newest Kickstarter project, Granite State Punk. But he's also doing something brilliant on Substack, where if you decide to back, support, again, I don't know the right word on Substack, right? To subscribe on Substack, you get to become an executive producer on a comic from start to finish, which, again, both Jelly and I, as he was describing this, it's like we get to have our fanboy moment of like, I'm not talented enough to write a book, but I will yell and be like, no, you should kill him on page 3. But he was just revealed in the first. No, I will filibuster this, good sir. That the link to both of these things are in the description of this video, and I've been. We lost Travis. So there
you go. I had questions for Travis.
I was refreshing the Kickstarter on the StreamYard tier thing, which is not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to refresh the Kickstarter tab.
But yeah, like I said earlier, Travis is one of the creators that I will always pine over, because I enjoy all of his work. I enjoy, as much as he is his own solo creator, that he is a creative glue in the community, right? That if you look on his Kickstarter page, the ratio of projects created to projects backed is absolutely insane. And then I also know
you follow me on Facebook. Like, I share my stacks periodically. It's mostly physical. I'm not giving everyone $1. That's real money. Like,
yeah. And then, Travis is one of the few creators that I know hops in Discord groups with fans, because as much as he is a creator, Travis is somebody who is also worrying about his weekly pull list as he's, diving between meetings, or calls or, you know, all the different things that he's juggling, that he'll also go like, hey, let's talk about Thor this week.
Right.
Or I know we both had the same top pick of last week that we both really loved She-Hulk #1.
Yeah.
And again, you talk to some of the creators who are on like the more traditionally monthly published scale, and they're like, I'm so busy that like I'll look at this story every now and then. And you talk to someone like Travis, and Travis is like, here are the 12 million things I did today. And then I got home, took my pants off, and read my stack of comics. That, you know, Travis is as much one of us as he is somebody who I will fanboy out over. So
that was awesome. Like, I hate when people don't read comics. Like, I hate it when I see interviews and they're just like, I'm just too busy. I'm just too this. Drives me crazy. Why you want to create them if you're not going to read them? Like, I don't understand.
Well, especially when you said that, you know, Granite State Punk is kind of in the direction of the trend line for your fans, but also some of the things that are more popular at the moment, right? You don't become aware of what's popular across the board unless you're actively reading things or listening to things, right? That in addition to, you know, Travis being able, like, I know that I could wake up at 2:45 a.m. in 3 weeks and send Travis a message on Twitter and be like, hey, you want to go live? And he'll be like, fuck yeah, let's talk books. That, you know, it's your level of industry awareness is just overall insane. And I'm going to stop fanboying out on you for a second because Jelly said he had some questions. And then we'll talk about books of the week because I'm going to go to the pee in the pot like a big boy. And before we do that, I will say, what up, Funko Brothers? They are getting closer and closer to that 1K goal. And Chet Pops, our winner of the inaugural poser pile, is back. Send me your address. I know that I sent it through whatnot, but I'm too lazy to go control F your name. So do that, but congratulations and thank you for the support. So you ask, y'all pester Travis for a second. I'll pull up a wheel and we'll do a member giveaway and a Patreon giveaway, and then we'll talk about books from this week, last week. Sound good?
Cool.
That's good. I do want to ask about you can go, but I want to ask about this Venom. So is that just a blown up poster? Or is it what is it? What do we got here?
So the reason why everybody brings it up is because I, for the longest time, had this exact poster, and it was signed and remarked by Sam De La Rosa.
Okay.
Had a great big huge Venom sketch on it. And I don't even know how many people over the last couple of years that have tried to buy it from me. And in a drunken auction is the best way to put it. I offered it up, and then I also, like, it was that, and then a 9/8 signed and remarked by De La Rosa, direct edition, and a 9/8 signed and remarked De La Rosa in a newsstand. And the guy paid $1,200 for all of it. And I had this big empty space on the wall here for about a month.
Regrets.
With just one comic, which is not... Oh, here it is. I had one comic sitting there.
Right.
And it was like...
Sure.
I didn't have any more wall. I didn't have any more hangers and everything else. And I literally found this at a local comic shop. Had a hole in it. There's a hole right here.
All right.
But
well, do you need one?
It just feels right again.
But do you need a real De Rosa? Because I'm in Florida and I'm at shows with him all the time.
Oh, he's down the road from me.
Okay.
Yeah, I like as soon as he comes up, because so I live in Oklahoma City. Okay. And he's down in Dallas, and he comes up here to New World Comics.
Okay.
Probably 5 times a year, 6 times a year. So as soon as he comes back, I'm going to get it redone.
Yeah, he's in Florida all the time. I assumed he lived in Florida, to be honest.
Like, oh, no. I chat with him every once in a while. He's one of the guys that I actually really, really like. His artwork has always been, my thing.
Nice.
And your question about the beer, this is a single barrel Scotch brew.
Wonderful.
Super stout, just deliciousness.
Yeah,
So
that's
are you
a
guys
that's a
stout
meal
guys?
in the can.
I'm a stout guy. I won't drink an IPA. Like right now, I'm not drinking beer because I bought the Sam Adams pack, and all I have is the IPAs left, and I can't risk it. I can't.
Well,
risk
the pack is the only way you can get the ones because they don't
Right,
sell them.
See, IPAs
That's when you have
used
friends
to be
over.
good, but
I don't know.
like
Maybe
a
I'll
true
try it.
IPA is good.
I don't
Now they've bastardized it so bad, it's just hops on hops on hops, and it just tastes like you're drinking cleaning fluid.
It's
Right.
true. It's so true.
Yeah. So a few comments. So about the Granite State Punk.
Yeah.
So Patrick Burmeyer,
Yeah.
what an amazing job he did with the art in that book.
Yeah.
It is awesome. I think it really plays well with the vibe I got from the book that when you were talking about like what's going on. Like it looks like the art fits the story really well.
Yeah.
It's got a real nice vibe to it. It was great seeing you talk about like how the story came about. You said it was you thought one of your best writings.
It is my best writing. It's the best thing I've ever written.
Now, why do you think that? Is it because it's so personal? Because it happened in your you said it in your hometown? Is it?
I think it got me on a right phase. I was supercharged. So one of the negatives of doing what I do. So as Poser turns out, I wrangled cats with Cthulhu Invades Oz, Holiday Spirits. The book Expired that he just talked about. All of those books are not mine, right? I produce them.
Yeah.
Like I put them together, but they're not my original IP. And I think I was in like a funk, like to do that. And this was me like angrily getting out of that funk because I was writing for everybody else. Again, they're my properties, they're under my stuff, but they're not my original IPs. Expired, somebody created it, and I'm just a writer on it. Cthulhu, I didn't create Cthulhu. I didn't create Oz. I just kind of put it together.
Yeah.
Holiday Spirits is my letter. So I think that's all that together. And when I wrote it, as a writer, now and then you'll write something and you're like, I don't know how I wrote that. Like that's not me. And this is one of those books where I feel like super connected. I'm not saying it's the best thing I'll ever write. I'm just saying as of right now, it's the best thing.
Yeah. So like, was it easier to write? Like, were you able to pull from like writing it about your hometown? Did it make it like, I don't know how to explain it, like kind of relaxing where it took the pressure off of telling the story because it was so familiar? You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah. So what it did is it allowed me to get into the character's mindset a lot faster.
Okay.
Because he's going through some stuff. I didn't use drug and alcohol, but I totally relate with it because, it was around in me. Sure. I actually did the opposite of what this character does. I actually didn't drink until I was 25 because I was afraid if I took a shot, I was going to be a heroin addict. Like I really did in my head. Because you just see it around you. Like your whole family's like dying or going to prison and all. Like that's just the lot of my life. That's why I moved to Florida. I ran away from all that.
Yeah.
So, and then when I had a drink, I was like, this is fucking fantastic. Let's get more of that. Few more years. But so it allowed me to get in the mindset. And my parents have died in the last 4 years. So my dad died 2 years ago. My mom died 4 years ago. I'm still carrying a lot of that stuff, with me. So it allowed me to process all that. And then it allows me to give a love letter to my state, right? I'm like, everybody who wants to be a writer, you want to go to your mom or dad and go, are you proud of me?
Yeah. Look what
I never got that opportunity to do that. So I'm writing something to my state, to the people who saw me grow up, who don't view me as a comic guy. They view me as the kid they hung out with in chorus, right? Yeah. The kid who
Travis from down the block, yeah.
Right. That's how they view me. So I'm writing a love letter to my state in this as cool as I can, with all the modern tricks I've learned from doing comics and go, like, are you proud of me? Like New Hampshire, my family, are you proud of me? Like that. This is kind of like reaching across the grave. Are you proud of me? So that's what makes it personal. That's what makes it me have all these feelings about it.
Sure. That's awesome. My last question is, so it's Granite State Punk.
Yep.
You seem like a pretty punk dude. So what does being punk mean to you? Like,
right.
What is it about the counterculture that, like, how did that mindset bring you into this book? Like, how did you incorporate it? Like, obviously it's in the title, but like,
sure.
What was the, how did kind of being punk drive the story, the narrative in this book?
Yeah. So those are great questions. In fact, the punk music aspect of the book is literally a one page in the back that goes, "Oh, you think I don't know about punk rock?" And I do a rant. Like, I don't. The book actually doesn't talk about the music scene at all.
Oh, that's great. Because there's so many people that listen to punk that are like, when everybody says they're punk, you're like, no, you're not.
Right. Exactly.
You know, like that, and that is so punk too. It's because everyone thinks they listen to punk, thinks nobody else knows shit about punk.
Right. So in the back of the book, I address New Hampshire punk lore from the Queers and stuff. And in fact, I even had a friend help me make sure I got it right, who's more into the scene. I was like, "Hey man, what am I missing?" He's like, "Bum, bum, 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 bum." I was like, "Oh, that's beautiful. I love that." And I do it. But the book itself is about the punk philosophy, right? So punks, in my opinion, and when I grew up being punks and hanging out with punks, it was, we are smarter than everybody else in the room. We're angry about being smarter than everybody else in the room because they're not listening. They don't understand. We are angry about everything around us. And he rants about Hamilton, the musical. He rants about Game of Thrones. They're very worldly. They know a lot about a bunch of shit, but they don't know anything about anything, right?
Right, yeah. Well, a lot about a little.
Right.
A little about a lot. Yeah.
And they just want someone to hear them. Right. And that's what this story is about, is being screaming, going back to what I just told my family. I just want you to hear my story. I'm not trying to throw anybody else the bus, but just fucking hear my story. Like, hear it. And that's the punk vibe, and how it was so important to me to get that right in writing this book. And what makes it special, and why I'm glad you guys asked this question. And what makes it special is I added that tension. You can feel it. Because a punk, when they're doing their stuff, they're ranting, and it has to be let out, whether that be a mosh pit or a fight with your parents or a fight with your girlfriend. It has to be let out because you're just angry at everything around you because you don't want to address that one fucking thing that you got to address, right? And that's
it's a quest for validation that you don't need.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's me. Like, that is where I'm at in the comic scene, right? Like, I don't feel I can literally sit at any table with tons of creators who are way above me because they're like, "Dude, you belong here." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't have a book at Scout, or I don't have a book at Sourceman." But but you can at any moment just send it over. Like, let's make it happen. No, because then you made it happen and I didn't make it happen. Some weird fucking shit in my head, and this is kind of all of that tied up in this one book, and why you need to buy it.
Yeah.
But that's the other like cool element of punk. Like, you think about any element of the punk rock scene or the philosophy, right? Like, you think about the relationship between punks and like the anarchist movement, and you're like, "Oh, these people are just ignorant and they don't fucking care." No, those are people who can have very complex conversations and discussions about the structures in which they're rebelling against, right? That it's not just a defiance against norms for the sake of appearing edgy. It's, we're real educated. We're going to give you a fucking master's thesis at our own level about why we want to piss on the mainstream.
Well, it's
I
like,
love a guy named Poser is explaining to me punk. That's just
but like, I think that becomes one of the
so great though.
But that becomes like the interesting element to me, right? That the level of like meta-ness, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. We're getting
shut up and drink my beer and say thank you. Thank you to the Funko Brothers. I'm gonna pick. Eric asked 3 good questions, and I'm gonna pick one of them because I think the answer to this one. Do you want each book to stand on its own, or are you trying to build a body of work with connections to each book? Me wearing my Travis Gibb hat, the answer is yes to both. That there are some books that survive on their own, but there are 2 universes. Yes.
Right. Yeah. They don't connect in any way, but that doesn't mean they won't. They just don't. I don't build them to connect.
Here's the question that I think is good for you because I am a big I'm going to build my conspiracy theory board when I read things.
I want to answer that one if it's okay.
This one?
Yeah. So in case you didn't know, Two Boys and Their Pops, Eric, so what you don't know is he actually has the 3rd cipher hidden in his comic book for the Beale ciphers, right? Get out there, read that book. You're going to have to pick it up because if you don't get it, you're not going to get that 3rd cipher for the Beale text and get that $43 million in gold that's buried somewhere in the United States.
Exactly. You now have to. The reason why albums are back is because you got to play the albums backwards to really hear the message of all the stuff. That's why they're so popular right now. So buy some punk albums, support your local indie music scene and put it all together.
Heart you.
That was funny.
Now you can answer it for real.
Of course, there's.
I was sitting there staring at that. I'm like, I've got a good answer.
Let's go to Poser, who's read. He hasn't read Granite State Punk, but he has read Brokedown. And when you read it the second time, there's a lot of secrets, right? There's a lot of stuff hidden from issue 1 all the way through.
Oh yeah, and in that wait from issue 3 to issue 4, you were like, because I remember a couple of messages either on the Discord or when we were drunkenly on Burrito late with somebody taking their shirt off, right? It was, what do you think is going to happen? And I go, well, here's what I think I saw. And you took the punk ass tease creator out like, interesting. I guess you'll see what happens. So I think it becomes one of those things that I think in the same version of like anytime you read something the first time, you'll see and overanalyze things. Right. That I think that's something that's true to just everybody who reads with depth. But I think you go back and reread like Brokedown and you're like, you motherfucker, like you got me on this little thing that I was like, oh, that's nothing, and moved on. So I think you do get some of those clever little Easter eggs from Travis that you see them and then you go, no, I'm going to write it off. That's nothing. And it's not the same tactic between each different book.
Right.
So this creative motherfucker keeps finding a way to keep you tricked. And that's why I love his work. And that's why I know he's smarter than me, because he goes, hey, dummy, look right here. Look right here. I got you the first time. Oh, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. Get you from a different angle. Right. And I like it. I like being had from a book in a very, very unpredictable or non-traditional way.
I mean, and that's what's great about comics, right? That's what makes us love comics, is because you can pick up 5 comics at the comic store and everyone's writing it slightly different. Now and then you get the Marvel and DC copying each other, right? The year that Captain America got hit by a time bullet, and so did Batman also get hit by a time bullet, which I don't like. Are you seriously like? It's not a good idea, and both of you are like, we need to steal that. I don't know who came up with it first, but one of you guys should have said that's kind of dumb. But other than that, you'll see all these unique ways. I mean, look at Something's Killing the Children. You have no idea what. Not Something Killing the Children. Department of Truth. You have no idea whether or not you're reading a fucking prose this week, or you're reading a traditional comic, or you're not going to understand the art. Like, you're going to get one of the three, but you'll figure it out when you get pick up the book. That's what's beautiful about comics.
I agree. Well, I think with that, anything else you want to say about?
No, I'd love to hang out and talk about comics. But yeah, no, check out the Substack. Like I said, a Substack, if you back, it's only $5 a month, or you can be a founding member, which is $75, or you can pay a yearly, which is $50, which will save you a little bit of money. But you get all the benefits of making a comic with me, as well as if you back my Kickstarter as like a poser, you're going to get a free exclusive cover that I'm literally only printing like 3 or 4 extra of, because I want it super rare. I'm going to write how many there are, and we're going to keep it as low print cost as possible, because I want it to be super rare.
Nice. Well, before we talk about books, I'm going to do another of a million giveaways that we got going on. So one of the things I talked about at the beginning of the year is that I've sucked in terms of making sure that I do my giveaways to patrons and channel members. So we're going to do a quick giveaway to each Patreon and to the YouTube members. And then we'll do a second giveaway to each of those groups in a moment. And if you're in here, awesome. If you're not, I'm going to reach out to you, and you have the option between a Funko mystery box, a comic mystery box, or a permutation do both mystery box. And if you win 2 of them, cool. So we've got our patrons up now. I don't know. Oh, damn it. It's not going to let me shuffle it because I had to send a link to myself because Discord was being a butthole. So there is everybody on the Patreon wheel. Good luck. All right. So the Roo Crew got a win. I'm going to guess that they want a Funko mystery box, but I'll reach out and see if she surprises me and goes, nah, send me some comics. I'll switch my tab really fast, and we'll do a for the YouTube members and Funko Brothers. I don't have you on this yet, but I will get you added for the second time that I run it, as we are talking comics. So here are the YouTube members. Here we go.
I saw my name.
Who is it? Wes?
Oh, White Pages sneaks in.
All right, we'll do 2 more giveaways for those folks here in a minute. We got 2 other active giveaways that if you see me looking away and typing on my computer for a minute, it's because I'm updating a wheel for anybody who super chats is going to get 5 comics. At least 2 of them will be some of the harder to get Kickstarter prints from some of Travis's earlier projects, and then 3 things that I would throw in with it. Funko Brothers, I know you would pick a pop. I also think you would pick a DC soda that I don't think you have the chase of, but I do. And then the other one that I've got is anybody who's commenting tonight. Travis is going to give away essentially the $10 tier of his Patreon, the issue number 1s of everything that has come out via Orange Cone Productions that you literally type.
That's not true. That's not true. I'm giving the one lower. It just doesn't include Granite State Punk. I'm giving you everything. Brokedown and 4 Dead Bodies 1 through 4, Voodoo Nations 1 and 2, the Ash Can, Cthulhu Invades Oz Digital, Cthulhu Invades Wonderland Convention Special, and Holiday Spirits.
So you're getting everything that has come out digitally minus Granite State Punk.
Correct.
So if you win that,
giving
and
away
you don't
Orange
give
Tone
Travis at least
Productions.
$3 to get Granite State Punk digitally, then I'll tell you you're kind of a dick.
Yeah, wait a second. I'm gonna pay for all this.
Well, just type something in the chat, Jelly, and I'll be like, okay, I guess Jelly
You're
was
right.
here. Oh yeah, NJ1. Oh, fuck you. Must comment now. Oh hi. Yeah, it's digital crack. Umpty is right. All right. So it's been
Glad to be
a hot
here.
minute since we've talked comics. I know that we're probably going to want to talk about Maw, because I know the three of us have been actively reading it and had some theories about issue 5. I don't know if Travis has been checking it out.
What are we talking
Maw.
Ma. Yeah.
Okay. And then I know that we've been talking about Primordial. So I'm going to start things off with Jelly. You want to give us a book from, this week or last week that you want to talk about for a hot minute?
Start with J1 because I actually have been on call and I haven't been reading books, but I have read the books J1 is going to talk about.
Okay.
Yes. And I have 4 books. And I know you're on it for all of them, right? Of course, Maw 5.
Yep.
Of course, Primordial 5. And then I also have, of course, She-Hulk 1 and Silver Surfer Rebirth.
All right. So pick one of those and we'll do a deep dive.
Okay. If I have to pick one, because you're going to be more respectful, I'm going to let you do Maw.
Okay.
I'll do Primordial. Because this is still one of my favorite books.
This was number 5, right? So
this is number 5. And honestly, this was kind of meh. Right? I mean, it really was.
Yeah.
But I'm so hopeful for the next one. So you guys that's been coming here every week, that we've talked about Primordial since issue 1, and I have dug it every week. This is the first one that I've kind of been meh. Like, they've traveled through time, long distances, years and years and years have passed. It's now 2024, right? 2024. And guess what? They make it back. They make it back to Earth, right? They're getting contacted. They got contacted, right? In the last episode, they actually reached out and sent the ping, and they knew where to go and how to get home, right? And
but
the dog is
ping in the 60s.
Yeah. And the dog is so happy.
Yeah.
Home. We're gonna go home, right? And because the dog had the owner, right? And dogs, right? If for stray dog lovers, right? You already know stray dogs. I mean, they ain't got no memory. I mean, it's a little fuzzy. And they kind of pick up on this too, because you don't know much about the dog and how he was treated prior to the scientists getting him, other than he was not treated that well, right? But he's got this this lovely scientist that took so good care of me, right? Even though, just like the monkeys, he got prodded, he got poked, he got injected, he got probes on him. I mean, everything that the monkeys got, right? But the monkeys, right? The chimpanzee and the monkey, right? They're a step or two away from humans, right? Honestly, right? And their memories and their retention and understanding of things is much more so. And they remembered all of the bad things that happened to them. And they're like, we don't necessarily want to go home. We're happy you're here right now, right? And of course, the dog's like, no, let's go home. Let's go home. Home is where she is. Let's go home. And of course, what happens when they get there? Unidentified ship, identify yourself. Unidentified ship, identify yourself, or we will open fire. Right? Oh. And it just blows me away. Right? A spaceship. A literal spaceship. how can you expect it to identify itself? What kind of first contact is that?
Well,
even though there's no alien life forms necessarily on it, we only know there's the monkey, the chimpanzee, and the dog, right? That's all we really know. But how the hell is that first contact? I mean, you should be able to look at it and be like, yeah, that's a spaceship, okay? Like it came from outer space. And what are we going to do? We're going to open fire. And what happens? The chimpanzee, who is like, I don't want to go back, gets shot right in the freaking chest.
Yeah.
And the monkey, the dog's like, I don't know what to do now. And that's where it leaves off.
What got me thinking with this issue about whether or not it's potentially all the way done or if there are breadcrumbs for a second arc was how the hell from the 60s to 2024 did the Russians end up basically conquering
Western Europe?
Yeah, it sounded like all of Europe. Yeah, because it sounded like there's
all of it, roughly.
Yeah, that we know that happened. But I also like that that's really the first time we started to see some dissonance between the two animals, where it was like, no, I don't know if I want to go home, that we're starting to see their differing perspectives.
I mean,
but you know, we talked about how, you know, we all loved issue 1. Issue 2, we were split 50-50 on. Issue 3, we all felt was better, right? Mm-hmm. So we get to this one and we were like, we don't know how the hell it's going to wrap it all up in 6 issues. And I will agree with J1 in part and disagree in part. I think the story does leave me wanting a little bit more. I think the art in this book and this book alone might be some of the best art that we've seen in the 5 issues.
Yes, I speak totally on story. I completely agree with the art, dude. The art on this one is beautiful. And some of their usage of colors, their background colors, dude, and like what's going on. I mean, the artwork, honestly, like you said, man, is gorgeous on this one. Sorry. You are absolutely right, man, on that one.
I think that's something that we've talked about before, right? That it's easier for all of us to talk story because we can go like, I understand story processes, but none of us are good at art.
Oh, no.
So we're like, that's where art, like when art's really good, we're all like, the art is fire.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's one thing that is just a comic fan base overall. I did love
that.
Yeah,
that was fucking heartbreaking.
That panel made me laugh based on the video that I put into that pull list video of the monkey riding the dog.
Oh, and
I saw that, I was like, nailed it. But like, I feel like that's one thing that as an educated fan base, we should be able to more easily be able to be like, the story in this kind of sucks, but like, here are the 3 or 4 things that made me still want to read it, where the artist killed it. And that, you know, that's not a critique of J1. It's something that I feel like we are all very guilty of because, you know, if the pictures look good and the story is good, we're more willing and more wired to give the nod to the story because we see the script as guiding us through it. And I feel like that's just something that, you know, we all forgot about the art history class we had to take in college to talk about art in a good way.
I took music history because it was
I took the history of rock and roll. Yeah, it was a great class.
Like I studied Gregorian chant. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah,
I'll hit you up on IG Deadpools. Hey sis, I got your boxes today. I'm gonna open them and be very excited in a little bit, I'm sure. All right. Anybody else have anything to add on Primordial from last week?
Yeah, I didn't like it at all.
I was negative. I know I was negative. But
I mean, I agree with the art. The art was amazing. It was great. It vibed right with what they were telling. It was nice. Like you were saying, the use of colors were amazing. The story, though, I felt like we had a nice build up through 4, and then 5 just rushed into certain things, and there was a lot of things expected to just be taken on faith. Like there was a lot of big things that happened in 5 that we should have had a little more backstory to. I realize it's only a 6-issue book, but maybe shouldn't have taken so much time to
build it up.
I
mean, one episode for backstory of the dog, one book for backstory of the chimpanzee.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those could have been combined into one.
Yeah.
Or 2, maybe 1.5, 2. But, you know, I feel like the relationship between the animals is more played out than the actual story that's happening.
Yes.
And
maybe that's intentional.
Maybe so. But I mean, it's just, you know, all of a sudden we're in 2024 and the spaceship's heading back, and then for some reason a, you know, Russian MiG can shoot bullets at it and take it down.
Right.
Well, I mean, you know, it's a lot of things taken on faith, and I just feel like it's rushed to finish the story. I felt that way about a couple AWA books that were, and I generally love almost everything AWA puts out. And like Devil's Highway, I love Devil's Highway. Such a great story up until about the 4th book, and then it just rushed to finish it, which I don't know if that's, and maybe Travis can talk about that.
That's a Benjamin Percy thing, like just the way he kind of writes. Like that's pretty consistent for him. So I think that just may be just the way he tells things. But it's hard to tell. I mean, all of AWA's besides the Angel bullshit was fire. Like that first
it's all amazing.
That Angel thing was basically going, hey, you remember that Punisher storyline where he became an angel that was really bad? Let's do that again. Like,
right. And that wasn't like that wasn't highly received to begin with, though.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like that.
But I can see what you're talking about. But I mean, I love Devil's Highway. Like I actually.
I loved it too. And I think there's another. I think there's a second arc coming out.
I think he's working on the stuff. I think Hotel and Devil's Highway are the two that got that kind of continued.
But I love Devil's Highway until the last book, and then it was just like everything was just
right
so quickly, and it was like, oh man, you had such a great story going. Right. And it was like almost a travesty that it was just a 5 book, because it was like I felt like he was writing for 10, and then they're like, oh no, you're gonna get 5. And he's like, well, shit, I got to clean this up in basically 1 book, because the stuff I wrote 1 through 4 is so good. It's the story around the time.
And I could definitely see that when you come from a base, especially if you're reading them all monthly, right? So you're reading Red Border at the time, which every issue was like, oh, I thought this book was about that. Oh, it's about this. Okay, I thought this was about that. Oh, it's about this. And then you read Hotel, which is a series of one-shots that at the end you're like, oh, it's all connected. Okay. You know, because John Lees is a fucking king. You know, so putting all that together. But yeah, I can see what you're saying, but I still love the ending of Devil's Highway. Like it just felt like it felt like any action movie, right? Oh, we have this really good concept, and then all right, we need to give you your action shots. So now you get 15 minutes of this. So that's what I felt like it kind of did, you know. Even the mother one, I can't think of what's the mother one. I can't think of the name of it.
Red Mother?
Bad Mother.
Bad Mother. Yeah, one of them's Red Mother, one of them's Bad Mother. I didn't know which one was which. Like that felt the same way to me. Like it was set up, like they built all this backstory for all the bad guy stuff. The same thing last issue was. What the hell?
Yeah, it just. I mean, it's unsatisfying.
Right.
Speaking about unsatisfying, Poser, you want to talk about Mom?
I think I might feel the other way.
Do you know what? So I won't say anything about the story other than this entire story seemed like the anti-He-Man Woman Haters Club.
Yeah.
I mean, true. But I mean, I wouldn't expect anything different, though.
I don't know the author, and I didn't go and don't. I'm trying new things. I've always been a Marvel guy and a DC guy, and I've really opened up to indie because some of my favorite writers started in indie, or branched into indie and stuff like that. So and now, honest to God, I read more indie than I do Marvel and DC.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah. All right. So I'll try and break things down about Maw up to issue number 5, which came out last week. Maw was my number 2 book of the week last week. So if you are going to read, if you've read Maw 1 through 4 and have not read 5 yet, then you should walk away for a couple minutes. The other thing that I'll say is I'll give a content warning that if you're uncomfortable with conversations about sexual assault, then you're going to want to walk away for a couple minutes, because while that was something that was prevalent in issue 1 and 2 and then kind of set on the back burner for a bit, it's impossible to talk about this final book without mentioning sexual assault to some degree. So if you have not read Maw and you want us to kind of hook you to it, we were all in awe of what happened in issues 1 through 4, where you basically have 2 women arrive on in a remote location where they are basically meeting with the ultimate guru of feminism. And one of the sisters is fully bought in. The other one is very, very skeptical. And the sister who is skeptical, you find out that she's just not A, trusting of authority figures. B, she thinks some of the spirituality that got connected with feminism is bullshit. But then by the end of the first issue, you discover that she goes to like a local bar of the town that is near this commune, and she's raped. One of the things that becomes prevalent throughout the first 2 issues is you're seeing physical transformations of some of the women, and then you're getting veiled elements of the primary character going through these transitions as well, where the women talk about giving birth to their trauma, and you're seeing like these physical manifestations of the demons that, you know, are placed in women when, you know, they are assaulted, when, you know, negative things happen to them in society. And then one element that is kind of subtly discussed through a couple of the issues is the notion of like victim blaming, and how, you know, if we slut shame people or we disbelieve individuals who allege that they are assaulted, then that creates an extra layer of trauma to people who have already experienced it. We are noticing throughout issue 4 the heavy levels of physical transformation to the main character, almost to the degree of how like Venom takes over, you know, whoever's there, his host's body is, to have to consume human flesh. You see a similar transformation in the main character, where now this notion of needing to thirst for blood in the name of justice comes out. And at the end of issue 4, she arrives back at the commune, and we get this notion of, at the end, all men must die, right? Which becomes the outright most, you know, declamatory, cliche feminist statement we see throughout this, right? That the only reason these women are suffering is because of the existence of men. The only thing that I said about this book, because it's impossible to talk about issue number 5 without spoiling anything in last week's rankings video, is that we've been had in a very productive way. what you end up learning, you know, is that Travis kind of talked about the Quentin Tarantino-esque reveal earlier. And we get some of that in Maw issue number 5, where we learn that the main character was not really assaulted when she arrived near the commune, that they basically staged her rape, right? That she was drugged, that everything happened to make it appear as if she were assaulted, because they knew that this woman was like the key to awakening the beast and things like that. And I thought about the way this series ended in issue 5 in kind of 2 different ways, right? If J1 is going to make the argument that it's a bit of a letdown, I think I can agree with him from a traditional story perspective there, right? That we have the declaration, all men must die. And then we have like the birth of a great sea monster. We have a lot of dialoguing, and then some of it disappears. Where I kind of appreciated this conversation and what the book offered is, one of the things we talked about when issue 4 came out was how we finally started to get tones of how personal this was to the author, and that we weren't aware of a lot of Jude Ellison S. Doyle's trauma in the back end. And it was not until issue 4 until I realized that on their blog they were basically offering a director's commentary on every single issue. And I read, you know, issue number 1 or 2's blog post, and then I didn't want to dive deep into what Jude Doyle has written about issues 3, 4, and 5 until I finished issue number 5. And, you know, when we get to the end of this, I think what helps satisfy me from like a critical feminist literary perspective, or somebody who looks at the way we treat individuals who have survived trauma but are disbelieved by the public, is some of the flavor that you know Jude Doyle adds in on their blog, right? That when people are victims of atrocities, we expect the victims to be meek, shallow individuals who, you know, we want to feel like a justice system or punishment is a salvation mechanism for them, right? That they were too weak to belay terrible things that happened to them. And the moment that they defend themselves, right, or the moment that their accusations step up, we are now no longer looking at a woman or an individual who has survived trauma. We're looking at a heinous bitch who's trying to destroy some man. And I think in looking at the situations that are kind of Monday morning quarterbacked throughout issue 5, I think one of the things that we get that's very interesting is, even if the assault that we find out happened in issue 1 was fake, there were other very real elements of trauma that happened to the main character. And I think in a world where instead of feeling sympathy or empathy for a victim because they're a good person who something bad happened to them and we should now show them compassion, but really if she wouldn't have been asking for it, we would think about things differently. If we now look at victims of somebody, or victims as someone who is out looking for justice because of the horror that has been perpetrated upon them, I think it becomes an interesting thought experiment for the end of that book. I think the other thing that will kind of differentiate me from Jelly and J1's thoughts on this is it's not a new revelation, right? It's something that we talked about from issue 1. One of the reasons why I picked up Maw is because I have read some of the literature that Sadie Doyle has written, which is the dead name for Jude S. Ellison Doyle. And I was like, ooh, I want to see what they do in this graphic novel or in a comic book format. And I kind of got it from there. So I think for as much as we've agreed on what we felt about the book throughout the first 4 issues, I'm going to guess one of the reasons why we all may feel differently about issue number 5, it might be because I'm aware of how Jude Doyle makes arguments in their literature. And like J1 said, this was a new experience for him. So I loved it. I think there's potential to see how, like, the big fucking monster is still birthed, and we now have some kind of creepy sea serpent that I think we could see some more of it play out. But I enjoyed it as a period of rhetorical criticism. But I could get how we go from all men must die to what happened in book number 5. That from somebody who may not be aware of how the author operates, that there's a big disjunct there. So let's go, J1.
So my biggest dislike, I might have joked around with the He-Man Woman Hater Club right? Which I know we talked about her backstory and everything and what she's about. And honestly, man, I was a sexual assault prevention counselor for years in the military. I was a victim counselor as well. I understand, but the thing that those women did to her make them worse than the men that raped her in the first place.
Oh, yeah. I 1,000,000% agree with you there.
They are worse than the men that raped her. They staged another raping and turned her literally into a fucking monster. I mean, emotional trauma aside, they turned her literally into a monster. I mean, those women, I was like, oh, dear God, please tell me at the end of this, something is going to happen on this last page where, like, the United States military, like, parachutes in and kills them all or something. Like, honestly, the trauma they put her through is way the fuck worse than what happened to her. That gave her that kind of mindset, that kind of feeling, that kind of emptiness. And I'm not going to pull on the stuff that I do know and do understand and gone through and heard, right? Because all of that is all fucking private, personal, and I don't talk about that stuff. But they did. They took a dark, horrible thing that happened to her and they fed it. Right? They didn't try to help it. They fed it. They made it worse. They made it happen to her fucking again. All to turn her into a giant fucking man-killing monster. No. Sorry. End rant.
No, it's interesting. It is it's another layer of trauma. That's. And I will say, I actually liked issue 5. I thought the payoff on the story was amazing. I generally don't like woke stuff. I don't like being told how to think about things. Bad things happen to good people every day. But oh, geez. I kind of don't want to go down this rabbit hole of victim mentality or anything like that, because everybody has their crosses to bear. But I thought the payoff on this book was great. It was unexpected, because the vibe I got on on 4 was, like J1 said, He-Man Woman Haters Club. And I love the twist that it was staged, but then also keeping that the trauma still carried forward, because it may have been staged, but it wasn't staged in her mind. So that's I really enjoyed it. Like I thought it was really well done, really well written. I was in the art. The art is amazing as well, but I was impressed by the last issue. I didn't expect it, and that's what I like in a good story.
The art was good.
Yeah, the art was really good.
Hold on, I'm trying to parse a quote from the blog post up that I think shows there's a little bit more agreement between.
Actually, when you first posted that link after issue 4, the from her blog or their blog, it was I thought it would be a little more eye-opening than it was, but it was kind of essentially what I expected. And that's why I like issue 5 even more, because it really, turned the screws on me. I did not expect that. And I thought it was so well done. The next thing they write, I'm 100% into.
Well, and the other thing that I didn't mention was the disjunct between, and I get the 3 women's name confused, but the woman who turned into the monster, when it was revealed that it was all staged, and she was like, "What the fuck did you just do to me?" Right. That she wasn't all like, "Ha, okay, all men must die." That, what is broken up across the 3 things I have here is what Jude Doyle wrote about trauma, right? And the only cure is to stop traumatizing each other, step away from the pleasures of revenge and cruelty, shed the entitlement that leads us there to believe that women are there to vent our rage and insecurity upon, handle each other with some modicum of care, knowing that a human psyche is breakable on even its best of days. And I think that final series of conversations between the 2 women, we see some of that, right? Because for as much as the main character was someone who was damaged goods, when she arrived at the commune, they didn't see her as someone who was seeking reparation and someone who is seeking the ability to give birth and be free of her trauma. They saw her as a means to an end. That
they had different.
They wanted to take her trauma and use it as a means to persecute other people for what happened to them. And I think that's a level of the argument that I did not expect to see from what we saw in issues 1 through 4.
I didn't either. But also, those quotes you provided, as eloquently as they were written, it just goes back to the golden rule. Just, treat others the way you'd like to be treated, and it's just, I don't think there was any, I think the story is really well told. I don't think there was any larger lesson to be learned that we all kind of don't know as human beings to follow, But,
well, and I think you shouldn't need a blog to decide whether or not this book is good, right? Poster's like, I decided this because I know this person, but obviously that gives you insight and makes it better.
Yeah.
In anything, just hopefully, if someone bought back Granite State because of our talks, like, it's better because you know a little bit of detail, of course. That's the stuff, but the story by itself should have its merit.
Yeah, and that's what I've enjoyed talking to you tonight about, is like, I like to know where the story's coming from, like the creative process behind it.
Sure.
I don't need to know necessarily, I don't need you to explain your story
right
morally.
Sure, yeah, how to think about the story.
Yeah, I don't need to know that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
I just, like, it's cool to be like, hey, do you know about the man in the
Old Man in the Mountain?
Yeah, Man in the Mountain. Like, no, I don't know anything about that. Like, tell me about that, because that's what I'm going to go read tonight is, you know, the history of the Man in the Mountain.
It's funny, the stuff that I wrote in the book, and this is just a quick segue before we get back to Ma. My wife read it, and she was like, hey, can I get the original urban legends about that? I really want to read it. And I was like, no, I wrote all that. Like, I made that up. And it took me a day, and then I went back to it, and I was like, you've never questioned any of my writing before. Like, why? Which, again, why I think it's good, but also, you know, if you write things based off the lore, the more real it is to you, it makes it better.
Yeah.
And, like, Moth for me felt like, and I apologize because I think Poser's really into this book. It felt like someone took Y the Last Man and took the Amazons and was like, I'm going to write some fan fiction, you know. I'm going to write some deep, dark Amazon fan fiction from Y the Last Man. Because it takes all the voice and the feelings of Y the Last Man, but makes it darker, right?
Well, yeah, immensely dark.
I think that's a fair criticism.
Right.
Now I'm going to have to, God damn it, now I'm going to have to read all 69,000 issues of Y the Last Man, to read 5 issues of Ma again, to go, God damn it, Travis, get out of my brain.
Right. Or you go, no, here's why. I read in a blog post by Brian K. Vaughan that he was going.
But I think where we started talking about this book is, you know, when I pulled it, I didn't think this would be something that...
Are you drinking the IPAs?
Yes, and that fucking reunion IPA, Sam Adams. And it does not feel like it. Well, it does feel like a reunion. Miserable. I wish I didn't know. You need to see it totally. I apologize. It's actually named
the rot gut for you.
It's named properly. That's exactly what a reunion's like. Like, I want to go. Like, I want a beer, right? But when I get that, what it's giving me, like the reunion and this beer, it's not what I want at all. Like,
Travis, you need to pencil us in every Thursday.
Yeah.
It's good.
But I think the way that we've talked about this book throughout its run is, I think nobody was surprised that I was pulling it, right? Because I just somebody goes, this book is coming out, and I go, okay, I'll pull it. Because my pull list videos just get longer and longer.
Oh yeah, this right up your alley.
We were all surprised in that first week to go, I read it too.
Yeah.
And for me to go, like, I was familiar with the author, and for Jelly and J1 to go, the premise sold me and drew me in. Like, that's why it's been interesting to kind of talk about this, because of our differing layers of intrigue or our experience with this, right? That my experience in terms of knowing where the author comes from in some of their past writings, J1's experience as a sexual assault counselor, right? And Jelly's experience of, you know, either reading this as someone who wants an intriguing story, or all of the fucked up things that he's probably had to deal with in terms of the patients he's interacted with, right? That I think, for as much as this book has a message, I also think that this book is about, you need to check yourself and your thought processes in the way you interact with other people, right? That before you want to shame a victim, or you want to use a victim of a poster child, in that same simple golden rule of treat others as you want to be treated, you need to think about how you want to interact with that system of power.
Right.
And I think that becomes an interesting message that, you know, everything that J1 said, I 1,000,000% agree with. Everything that Jelly and Travis said, right, I 1,000,000% agree with, that these are all fair criticisms of, you know, the work, or a fair reason that you see, you know, the story from a differing level. And I think
that's also
where
good art. that evokes that kind of things, you know.
Well, I think one of the big points of the book is that we all come at any situation with our prejudices, and those prejudices may be
100%.
false, and we have to accept that those prejudices may be false, right? Any one of us at all of our ages, we viewed our parents at a certain level, and that at some point we're like, no, they were just doing the best they fucking could. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, right?
Yeah.
You get that part. And maybe you still had some anxiety about that, but most people who adult, they turn a thing and be like, all right, I gotta cover this with slack for this, and this, because like now that I've done it and had some kids, like that's way fucking harder than I thought, right?
Yeah.
And I was a fucking prick. I forgot that I was a prick, right?
Yeah.
My daughter treated me like shit. Like I didn't realize that I did that, you know. I look at my daughter and I'm like, why are you doing the stupid fuck? She was 19 years old. She doesn't realize you do the stupidest fucking things. You are absolutely ridiculous, but I love you with all my being, and it's fucking ridiculous because you're so fucking stupid. And right, it's all these things at once.
Yeah. Oh, and you were stupider.
Right. You know, and then you watch them, make good decisions. You're like, fuck, I did do it right. I just like they didn't listen at the time, but they're getting it now. Like, and that's where this book I think is coming from, where we come with it with all these prejudices and we decide what it looks like. I think that's what 5 is. You decided what this looks like because of your prejudices, because of what we told you, because of what they told you. But it's not always like that. It's not all black and white.
Yeah,
and it's really interesting.
That's the interesting thing. This may be a nature versus nurture kind of thing.
Right.
We may have naturally had our prejudices and been nurtured through the story into, you know, maybe a better outcome in our minds of how it played out. So,
and I think that's the reason, regardless of whether or not I have now become a fanboy of Jude Doyle's blog, is that for as uncomfortable as it is to talk about rape and sexual assault, victimhood, and all of the things around it, this gave us an easier way to find elements of that culture or of that discussion that we dislike. And I think the end of that, right, discussion is we all have different shit to say about it, but at the end of it, none of us are like, no, fuck you, this is fake, blah, 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 blah. Like, we're all like, no, we experience things differently, but here's where we can look at it. And I think that becomes a productive lens for these kinds of conversations.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think anyone will disagree with us that rape is bad. Right. You know, like, I mean,
if you think if you're on the pro rape team, then
if you're on the fence about it,
I'm not so against it in the death row part of prisons, but that's different.
Well, punishment versus that's a different.
Just talk about out of confined society.
We now need a book about criticisms of the prison industrial complex.
All right, I'll add that to the list. We'll see if the Substack votes for it.
And that one, Travis.
I don't think it's going to get a lot of votes, but we'll try.
We'll create the wokest criminal justice reform book ever.
Title is
I'm going to put my money into the Substack, and I got some hot takes for you, Travis.
Yeah, could you do like a comic version of the movie Life with Eddie Murphy and what's his name, Martin Lawrence? Because that would be amazing. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
What's more interesting about this book, though, before you move on, is that Boom did it. Like, Boom tends to not really push agendas. Like all their books have people with agendas, you know, but they tend not to. That's not their thing, right? This seems like it should be in a different company, you know, like an Oni or something that's really like we don't care what you think. This
did not have a Boom vibe to it at all.
Travis, you fucking pardon my language, but you fucking nailed that, man.
Right.
Boom is not a I hate to say it, a woke publishing company. They are not. And it blew me away that this was a Boom Studios, because most of Boom stuff I might have critiques for this book, but in all, I still enjoyed the story. I really did. I enjoyed it from freaking book 1 through book 5. I really did.
But I think the good thing is it's a book that you will be willing to share those opinions on, where you're like, even though I didn't like this, here's where I can still talk about the story. And I think, if it were an Oni book or a Second Sight or an Action Labs, right? Well, I would love to see what this looked like as an Action Lab book, I guess I would say.
Oh, it just wouldn't have
no, because then it would have had freaking like straight up like full on scenes of the action.
Yeah. But I think Boom becomes an interesting conduit to an audience who is expecting a different kind of horror story that showed up in a different way. And I think, again, the reason why I said I liked this book so much last week was that I think it becomes a very good contribution to a very difficult conversation to have. So I think it becomes a good frame of reference for.
I think it delivered as a horror story. Yeah,
cisgendered heterosexual white dudes going, let's talk about a feminist book. That I think it equips us to maybe be able to look at its criticism of masculinity and go, here's where there are some fair critiques, but here's where we think it wrong. It gets it wrong, right? That, you saying at the end of issue 4, it's the He-Man Woman Haters Club.
Yes.
And then Al Bundy creates, no ma'am. That I think issue 5 does a very good job of now demonizing the intention of the He-Man Woman Haters Club and saying that the way that we treat victims, the blood is on everybody's hands for being terrible.
Yeah.
Well, and you add that written by a transgender, you add all that extra stuff. If you know that stuff, it becomes a very interesting talking point, which is probably why Boom picked it up. Or they just want to be like, hey, Vault, shut the fuck up. Look what we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be true. I mean, they might have done it just to say, yep, we fucking did it. Now what?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Travis, it's your job to give us a book that is lighter and more uplifting to talk about. 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, I need a minute, man. I figured I'd be skipped and you guys would go to bed by now.
Then
yeah, you can go next and I'll come up with one before. I got to look at what I bought in the last couple of weeks and what was intriguing.
Oh, I know. Jelly, have you read Spidey 87 yet?
No, I haven't. I'm behind on Spider-Man.
Okay.
All right. Then I'll non-spoilery talk about this until Travis says he's ready.
Well, I can dip out if you want to.
No, I won't be spoilery.
Okay.
So in the last several issues of the Beyond event or the Beyond arc, we've seen a path for Ben Reilly where he is now questioning being the sole Spider-Man. We have wondered what has happened to Peter Parker because I know Jelly read that issue because we talked about the creepy hospital basement.
Yeah.
And we haven't gotten much of a Peter update since then. I will say that issue number 87 of Spider-Man does not make me want to rage tweet Nick Spencer or stop sending Monopoly pieces to Brian Michael Bendis. That I think this issue might be one of the single most fun issues I've read in a while. Because
Like
Peter
fun,
Parker
like
at the beginning of this.
Spidey fun?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just as fun as She-Hulk last week.
Yeah.
Just in a different way.
Oh, yeah.
Peter
we
Parker
should
is
talk
dealing
about
with
She-Hulk.
all kinds of his own trauma at the end of this, right? That he's dealing with, or at the beginning of this arc, right? He's dealing with the death of his best friend. He's dealing with that bullshit villain that got misused by Nick Spencer, creating trauma. and then he loses his identity as Spider-Man to Ben Reilly because of something that happened when Parker Industries folded. This book is the how Stella got its groove back of Spider-Man.
That's funny.
That the reason why this book is hilarious to me because you
Kelly already
basically
got
have
the groove back, though.
what
I said the groove's already been back.
for Peter though, not really.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So this is
you're
how
talking about in general with the story.
no, this is
Okay.
this is the MAGA book of making Peter Spider-Man again.
This is
Oh, okay. So Peter's back.
He's
And this
being trained. And the three things that I love about this book,
I have 10,000 questions. I have to.
Yeah.
I just got to read
the
these.
three things that I love are the t-shirts that Peter Parker wears in the training scenes, the bag and other things that they have him wear on his head while they are training him, and then how and why Captain America and Black Cat come up
Me
with
too.
the fucked up, like, you need to fight criminals in this instance. Like, for me going, I need a Peter Parker update. This book was fun because for as much as Nick Spencer made Peter Parker, a sad, meaningless emo boy,
Yeah.
I feel like this creative team of, Thompson, McKay, everybody else who has touched it gave meaning to that, right? That
Yes.
Peter Parker has not had the time to mourn the loss of his friend or the loss of his identity. Then he gets fucked up by the UFOs or the UFOs.
Yeah.
However we say that corny name. And we don't get to see him flex again.
Right.
So I think it's interesting to see that Peter gets to become Peter again. And I haven't read the Mary Jane Black Cat Beyond book that has
That's
come
the best
out.
Spider-Man book that's been out in a long time. It made me cry. I literally cried at the end.
Well, and you find out, because we had a good conversation, Jelly and I did, about how when Peter was in his coma, who caused him to react and feel more.
Yeah.
You find out in a footnote in the Spider-Man book that they end up working, that Black Cat and Mary Jane are working together. So the moment I saw that, my shop was out of the Black Cat Mary Jane. So I picked up one on Whatnot for like $6 and was like, okay, I want to read that story now that it's got me vested in this tie-in.
If Jed McKay is writing it, you should back it. Black Cat is literally my favorite Marvel book. It was crazy. I have no idea why. It just was. Jed McKay's fantastic. But Jelly, this particular book gives a you remember Spider-Man Blue, the feeling you felt at the end of Spider-Man Blue?
Yeah.
Same kind of feelings. Somehow in a single one shot. It'll blow your mind.
So Poser, I get it. Stella got it groove back. Yeah, I get it.
They're making Peter Spidey again.
Yeah.
Well, that book, I think this book particularly was showing that this is why we picked Zeb Wells. Like, I feel that was like, this is why we picked him. I think here, going to talk about Nick Spencer before we go to let IG come back. The problem with Nick Spencer is not necessarily that he was bad because he didn't know how to end his stories. It was that we had 7 years of Dan Slott. So any voice of Peter that didn't remind us of Dan Slott, because Dan Slott has taught us how Peter thinks, speaks, and acts, over those years. So it was really, really rough and a really rough transition. And then once we got through it and tried to figure out whether or not we liked it, we were so deep into this fucking Karen story.
You were so deep in the weeds at that point
that we couldn't weigh it out. And then when it should have ended, it happens again, right? That story should have ended the first time they met, right? The first time they battled, that reveal should have been then, and they should have moved on to a new villain, but it didn't. It had a second wave for whatever reason.
Yeah, no, that was. How did you feel? Okay, let me think. What arc was that? Was that the Hunt? Nick Spencer with Craven.
That was the Hunt. Yeah.
Was it the Hunt? Yeah, the whole thing with the
grabbing all the animal like things. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing in like Central Park and all that stuff. I mean, was that like epic for you?
I wouldn't say it was epic. It wasn't epic, but I think it was a decent Spider-Man Craven story, just not anything.
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider that. I actually don't think the reveal of who they were would have been really good if it came sooner. The problem, it was so late in the run, we stopped giving a shit. We just wanted
that's what got me back into the run, though.
Right, sure.
Was that like I love that story arc, and it was the only thing that kept me reading. And then Spencer just shit all over it. Right. Obviously, Kelly Thompson has revived it. I think at least, but yeah. Yeah.
And like Jelly and I have talked about how I think one of the reasons why we both love the Hunted arc is because it was the only thing salvageable as a coherent story from everything that Spencer did on that run. But for as much as I thought that I would be confused of, two Spider-Men at the same time, because I was not actively reading any of the Spider-Man stuff when some of those clone things came out.
Yeah. The
way that they have focused these issues and still found that through line, like the spoilery thing, Jelly, is that Doc Ock is mad at Beyond because of his relationship to Parker Industries.
Right.
And I think you can see some of those connections if I tell you those two things.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
Like, it finds a way to drive that through line, but then write a single, like, character event book that I love that I get to read a book about how, Ben Reilly and his significant other's date night is ruined because he gets a pager call to go fight crime.
Yeah.
In the same way that I love, like, Peter Parker's in sweatpants, a white t-shirt that says not Daredevil and a bag on his head.
I mean, I'm typically very suspicious of new characters, especially when they're brought in on old characters, like Spider-Man. So when you've got like Ben Reilly coming in as a clone, like Scarlet Spider, all that stuff, it seems like a money grab to me, like right off the bat. But I've always kind of liked Ben Reilly.
Well, you know what I thought it was? Let me tell you what I would have bet money on it if someone asked me. I thought what was happening, I thought the Ben Reilly switch was because of the Spider-Man movie. I thought one of those Spider-Men were going to stay behind and become kind of the Ben Reilly of the new MCU.
I honestly thought that was going to be the case too.
So because it came out of nowhere that Spectacular Spider-Man was tough. But I think what they're doing now that I know that that's not true, I think what they're doing is they're resetting Peter, because Nick Spencer, like you said, put him in a certain position. So we need to take Peter off the table. We need to put someone who is Peter, because Ben Reilly is Peter, has Peter Parker problems because he's basically Peter.
He's clone.
Make you remind it without making it odd. And then when we bring him out of this situation, Spider-Man can still be Spider-Man and do his thing. Because Spider-Man's in a weird position in the Marvel Universe now that we have Spider-Gwen and he's a mentor character. He doesn't have the same position. He's not the everyman that he's supposed to be. And that's just Marvel. And if Marvel needs to figure out a way to fix that without destroying the character.
So Miles now is in the same universe.
Because
he started as different, and then now he's in
Secret Wars. So Secret Wars, the big Jonathan Hickman Secret Wars, merged all the universes together. And they all became one.
Yes.
And then Mr. Fantastic has been putting the multiverse back.
Yep.
And the two people who came over was the Maker and the Black Hammer and Miles. I think there's a few others here and there that have showed up, but yeah, so they're merged together at this point. Maybe depending on whether or not that's the Ultimate Universe. We visited in Venom in the Donny Cates run. They kind of went over there. But that didn't seem like the Ultimate Universe that I remember, so we'd have to figure it out.
Well, I think the way that when Miles showed up...
I mean, I don't read comics. Fuck you, nerds.
I think like 2 or 3 issues ago when Miles showed up, and it was Ben and Miles, is that they've kind of set it up as...
Oh, see, I haven't seen Miles show up yet.
Oh,
so that's how far behind I am.
Okay.
So the way they set it up is basically Peter and Miles are in charge of different boroughs of New York. And the reason why they crossed paths is basically because something happened on a border. And it's fun watching when Miles realizes that he's dealing with Ben, that for the first time you really get to see Miles as a mentor. And then the reason, like, I have not read a whole hell of a lot of Miles.
Miles is a mentor,
but it was some of the references in that issue that got me to read that 25 through 30 of the most recent Miles run is that he was dealing with his own clone.
Yeah, he's dealing with Clone Saga stuff.
So he's basically was trying to help Ben navigate the drama of wanting to be Spider-Man, but not being the guy who just yells at people about copyright infringement, which Beyond still cares about while eating a piece of pie. So the answer to J1's question of how is he a mentor? He's been around longer. Is that Ben disappears more often than not from this crossover lore. So since Miles the most recently has dealt with, a cloned version of himself, it was him going like, here's how you can do your thing, but create distance.
It was weird, but
yeah,
the Miles book isn't great, but it's okay.
Yeah.
So
it was intriguing enough to make me want to spend like $12 to pick up 4 or 5 Miles books to get the context to see if he crossed over. So, I at least appreciated it from that end. Let's see. Two Boys just asked a question. That was Don't Even Blink issue number 2. Those
that was good.
Hawkins and
Brian Kemp.
And Kemp, yeah. But yeah, so Jelly, your number one homework assignment for when you get caught up or when you don't go on call for a couple of days is...
No, I've got this weekend that I've got some reading I've got to do, and actually number one is I'm gonna. And this is crazy. I've never read this, and I'm kind of embarrassed to admit it. I've never read the Alan Moore Swamp Thing. So that's what's going to happen this weekend. So
do that.
It's my shame.
Get caught up on this run of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because I like the idea of you and I recording a monthly video of this month in Spider-Man.
Well, I mean, we're going to be coming up on another month here quickly.
Yeah. So
I think you guys should wait and start at 1.
Oh, that's right. Because they're
revamping at 1. It's only like a couple, I think it's like a month away,
So there you go. When number 1 redrops, we'll go, here's everything that's happened. Doesn't matter who fucking knows.
It's we could do that.
But I'm going to tell you you're wrong because...
I do think I'm about, what's that? Coconuts.
Migrating coconuts. How far could a swallow carry a coconut? There's the equation right there.
Interesting.
This is a amazing stout by Roughtail Brewery, in case anybody's interested. It tastes like
you know what? I've never even thought of this before. Coconut would be an amazing flavor for a stout.
It's amazing.
I've never had a stout with coconut in it.
They make a lot of Samoa, like the Samoan cookies with the coconut. Like they make a lot of stouts with that stuff.
It has such an amazing aftertaste, dude. It's like mind-blowing.
I've been out of the game with microbrews for so long.
I'll tell you what.
So I got to go to bed soon because I got to be.
Well, I'm gonna click this button and give something away, and you can.
Can we talk about She-Hulk #1?
Yes.
Okay.
No. Stop.
Southern Comic.
I'd have felt bad if it landed on me.
All right, I'm gonna remove this and switch to the Patreon real fast, but I'll make you big jelly until I get the wheel up. So talk about She-Hulk #1 because I loved it. I know that Travis loved it. I want to hear what you and Jay want to.
Let's just put us all on it.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
I don't know if somebody wants to go through the story. I mean,
yeah, I can go since you guys talked about the other books, so I'll go through it, right?
Okay.
There you go.
Travis. Go for it, brother.
Yeah, so She-Hulk, it's the typical She-Hulk is back. So if you guys have been following She-Hulk and Avengers, she was the Russian, the Winter Soldier, what was it? Some sort of name, I can't remember.
She was in the Winter Guard books.
Well, she had a name though. She was a Winter.
Oh yeah.
I think she was a Red Winter or something like that. She was all red. By doing so, she absorbed a whole bunch of. She basically took more gamma to basically put her back to normal. So she's normal She-Hulk. The reason why that is because Dan Slott needs her for Reckoning War, and she needs to be regular She-Hulk to do that. And there's a TV show coming out, and regular She-Hulk is going to be better.
Absolutely.
And regular She-Hulk is better, like fact. That just is. Though I did like her banging Thor. I hope that continues. So we take off. She-Hulk is back. She's been away for a long time. She's been kind of a raging version of herself. So she's going around and she's hanging out with her good old friend, the Wasp. And she's gonna get an old apartment that Wasp has, and gonna hook her all up. They want to know what this is for, Sassy. You'll never know, Sassy. He's gone.
You may have won something.
Right. If you won, you'll be informed of what you won. I think Titanium is fantastic. Titanium meets up with She-Hulk. Last time we saw her, she was a good guy. I love the play between them. It was so good. They decided to fight. The reason why they're fighting is because
they're
when
bored.
It comes down to it, they're society's bored. Nobody can punch her. Nobody makes her feel like, and they're bored. Start a fight club, which is awesome.
Yeah.
She-Hulk was
hilarious.
It was so good.
And they did that. They even did like the girl fight club that you always hope for, where the clothes are getting torn.
Oh
yeah. They nailed
overtones were amazing.
They and that was kind of the issue. She kind of had her first court case. She got back into court, which is weird because she's running a court case in Fantastic Four, but fuck continuity.
Yeah, but apparently now she's like really down and out.
Right.
That was the best. Well, she was in Russia, dude. She didn't.
Yeah, I could see with her being raging, she didn't care about money and let her shit.
Yeah, like she had nothing, right? She lost everything.
Right. She didn't go in the GameStop stock, so she just lost it. And then we have Jack of Hearts coming back. We haven't seen him in a while, which is fantastic. Shows up.
Oh yeah, 20
Travis,
years.
So maybe I was talking to J1 earlier about it. The last time we saw Jack of Hearts was Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And I cannot remember.
Unfortunately, you're wrong. He was in the Guardians of the Galaxy, Donny Cates, the first beginning of run when Thanos died. He wasn't important in it. He didn't really do anything, but he was there.
Did he die?
No, so they could, because they were dealing with the cancer verse, they could see dead and do some stuff. So it was kind of a wonky thing because Thanos dies in Donny Cates' run. That Thanos gets his head chopped off. And he's in one of those things, if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm wrong.
You might be right, but we were talking about the last I knew he was dead.
I thought the last time we saw him in continuity was like 93 or 94.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. I can't remember. I cannot remember the.
I just did a quick Google just for the last time we saw him was in the Children's Crusade, the like Young Avengers thing.
Yeah.
And that's when he died. He gave himself up to the timeline.
And when was that?
Does not say when it is. I'm looking at the wiki, so hold on.
Because I want to say he's been dead for a long time.
This is 2010. So yeah, you're 12 years.
Yeah, I mean he's been dead for a minute.
Yeah, he's been
Wait, what year is this?
Him and then the other guy that the
oh
other
yeah, no, I was thinking like 2005. Yeah.
Was Guinness Vale. Like he ain't been important in comics in 15 years, and all of a sudden he shows up in Silver Surfer Rebirth.
Well, actually, let me go back on this. So this Children's Crusade, that's because of Kang the Conqueror. So that's actually just them visiting him in the past. They have him dead before that. It still is Young Avengers, though. It's just the earlier runs of Young Avengers.
It was like the 2002 run. I want to say
like one of the right before Avengers Disassembled, because he appears in.
Oh, that's what it was. It wasn't fantastic. It was Avengers Disassembled.
Yep.
Right.
That's what it
was. He's like a zombie version of himself. Yep.
Yep. Well, yeah, he came back in Marvel Zombies a couple different times, I think.
Yeah. He was a character in the Marvel.
But I don't
Zombies.
think that was in
that's not continuity
of any sort.
But yeah, it's good to see him back and a good grab, right? Like I love writers who grab that. And
I mean, that's a deep cut.
Yeah.
Well,
she does deep
Jack
cuts.
of Hearts.
She was writing Runaways, which you probably didn't read. Rainbow Rowell. She was writing the Runaways. She just wrote the last run of it, and it was fucking good. It was really, really good. The problem is it wasn't. It was just its own little thing, right? Its own little universe. It didn't touch the rest of the Marvel universe, so nobody cared about it, right? But it really got deep into the original Brian K. Vaughan run and some of the little like Easter eggs that were there and playing with them. It was really, really well. Again, it was just written well. It wasn't mind-blowing.
Travis, how big is your pull list?
Oh, it's fucking huge. It's huge.
I just want to know because, I mean, God damn,
I have a 60% discount at my comic store for reasons. And I pull about $50 a week. So if that gives you an so stacks about that big.
That's a good pull.
$50.
Oh, yeah.
60% discount.
I have a 12% discount, and I still spend like $150 a week because I fucking hate myself.
Right.
No, I spend $80 a week and with no discount. So
yeah.
You don't get a pull list discount?
I mean,
you need to use the other guy we talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should get discount, or bags and boards. Like I've seen stores that are small that can't give discounts, so they'll give you free bags and boards.
Oh yeah, I get free bags and boards.
All right.
Poser, I'm sorry, sir, it's that time. Gentlemen, all four of us seem to have one major thing in common, if I might. Beard butter. It is great for the beard. You should use this every other day. Beard butter. It is made with all natural ingredients. It makes your beard grow and glow. And on the off days, may I suggest Gibb's Alpha Male.
Oh shit!
Beard hair and tattoo oil. right? If you want to keep it loving and healthy and growing free, so your woman wants to come through and just stroke it like so. Alternate every other day. Gibbs alpha male.
It works.
I love it, Jelly.
Did I tell you the reason why my beard went so short?
You lost a bet?
I sneezed while shaving.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was like, oh, God damn it.
Oh, God, Jelly. Thanks, bud.
Right.
He dressed.
I bet on this thing too long. Someone remembered that we did D&D once and is messaging me for their campaign and say, hey, will you run a D&D campaign for my campaign? That's not what I do. It's not what I do.
Oh, man. You should.
I do think you promised on the Burrito Discord that you will run a
Cthulu Invades
Wonderland.
Right. But that comes with a 10 backer. So if you can get me a bunch of backers, things change. It does come with a 10
I just want to know if I have wheels for hands and feet and that Cole is a Bible salesman again.
You gotta wait. You gotta wait.
And I remember that night that we all thought Cole like quit everything because his internet died. And we were like, we made Cole mad. There you go. That needs to become your new tier of the
D&D Travis.
God, because did we go for like 8.5 hours?
No, it was ridiculous.
Great night. I like that. Absolutely. I'll send you links. If they'll give me a discount, man, I've been advertising beard butter for months. I can just hope one day they give me that call of like, we keep getting calls about people wanting beard butters.
There you go. Other things that I read, Saga 55 is good. I think if you haven't read Saga, and this is the first issue of Saga that you read, I think you can jump on here because they treat the 3-year break in them putting out issues like a 3-year break.
Has it been 3 years?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
I haven't read it yet, so don't spoil much.
It's everything that you would want from a Saga book mashed into one.
Really?
You get gratuitous violence. You get Alana's tatas. You get some pee in the vajee. You get some hilarious lion cat. You get the greatest band name in the history of time. Like the moment that we all found out that it was up on Hoopla, like I stopped teaching a class. Nick from Comic Burrito, who works at Red Wing Boots, put a back in 15 minutes sign up on the door.
Oh, that's awesome.
We all stopped so we could consume it, even if we knew in a matter of, an hour or two we would get it. That we all kind of jumped in together. It feels like they didn't take a break, that Vaughn's writing is still hilarious. As much as Travis spoke highly of Fiona Staples' art, right? It's still amazing that it just felt like nothing has transpired, or like we haven't missed anything.
Really?
I enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed last week's book. I like the Stormbreakers cover. That's cool.
I loved this one.
I wasn't going to get that issue, but then I realized that my Wolverine with all the Wolverines, the other part of it, I need to get it. So I need to go back to the store to get it.
I couldn't find either of those collage covers.
They were sold out at my LCS. Both of them.
I have to go back and, according to Chaos and Comics, reread parts of Inferno, because some of the things that happen in this
tie-in really
happened more recently than I thought it would. That was just good.
I wasn't enjoying House of Slaughter. And that's probably because I'm too big of a fucking something is killing the children nut that, like, they go back in time and like, House of Slaughter. And it's like
This did a good
one.
job playing with why what's his nuts? The guy who showed up at the House of Slaughter is angry with them. That this gives the context for the tension between these two.
And the negative of that, though, the reason why you don't like it as well is you can feel the co-writing.
Yes.
You can feel Tyranny did this page.
It's almost like, dude, exactly.
Yeah,
it is a little disjointed. As you're turning page to page kind of deal almost.
Right. Yeah. You can feel it. It doesn't feel cohesive.
I agree with that. I like that. I've enjoyed everything Stray Dogs that has come out. That you get more insight into what has happened to the dogs coming together. And you get to learn more about the Bloodhound, who's the hero.
I'm picking up covers, but I'm not reading it until I have all 5, because it's like that's how I read the first set. Was once I had all 5, I read it and it was amazing. I loved it.
This
one's only 2.
It's only 2.
Is it only 2?
Yeah, it's only 2.
I had no clue. Okay, then.
But there's going to be another arc after that, so you're safe to read these 2.
Perfect.
Did you I never knew about the book Hair Trigger, but that book sounds fantastic.
Hair Trigger?
So
it's not up anywhere to pre-order yet.
Yeah, in Stray Bullets in the back of
the ones that are mentioned, Hair Trigger or something Man.
Yeah.
It's in the back of that one, right?
Yeah. But it's a book called Hair Trigger, and it's got a bunny. I'm super excited.
And Local Man.
Crosshairs.
Neither
Crosshairs, that's what it was. Yeah.
But neither of them are up on Diamond yet. Like, you search for either of these in quotation marks in Image Comics, you don't get a hit yet. So I think this is the first announcement, and we get dates and that later, because
it wasn't on on previews.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about backs of books, this is the one I'm actually kind of happy about looking into.
Yeah.
Nice. And then you get the other announcement you got from this is the big Radiant Black universe expanding into everything.
I'd have to start liking Radiant Black first.
What?
I said I'd have to start liking Radiant Black first.
Yeah. That's
I read one. I enjoyed 1. I read 2. I was like, I picked up 3, and I'm like, I think I'm done.
Yeah.
Where I got hooked, though, and you're going to hate this, J1, is issue 4.
Here's I'm reading because it's a book where you know there's something special about it. You just don't know what it is. But then I read his fucking Darkhawk, and that was not good. And it's not because
Darkhawk's a different story.
It was
I don't know.
Not good.
I don't know about this one.
You like that too?
Darkhawk?
Why, Poser? Why? Do you even like my comics, really? Like, based on
that's good.
Hey, Poser. Can I share something?
Of course.
I don't get too giddy about things too often. Jelly has seen this. But
yeah. This is
I was like a fucking schoolgirl. Legitimately. Like, no
Is
joke.
Gorkum Weird tickling your taint while screaming about the righteousness of Venom?
No, it's better.
Like a little schoolgirl.
I stepped up. I'm as happy
as a little girl. You're on sprockets. It's the time we dance. Oh.
I did something.
Did you buy that?
Yeah.
Is this like you were flexing on a bunch of books that were old on Meta's auction on Monday because Cam's dared you, or
I did do
you
that.
saw the price tag on this and you looked over at Cam's and you were like, I want this, and she said yes.
She okayed it. Yes, she did. It's not. I don't think it's the 1962. Okay,
It's the 1966.
it's the 1966 Golden Record reprint.
Hmm.
I was a fucking schoolgirl, dude. I made the offer. I laid in bed and tossed and turned for like 7 hours straight, where I should have been sleeping, hoping and praying this guy was going to take my offer.
Yeah.
To answer your question, Devil's Advocate is around. I don't.
Oh, sorry.
I don't go in that crew anymore. But yeah.
I just. This is my oh my god, giddy schoolgirl moment.
That's your grail.
It's one of them. Yeah.
Did you feel like that when I got that Stanley signed book from you?
God, dude, you don't understand. When the guy messaged me in the morning, like he finally messaged me, like I'd already started work and freaking was on the computer. Like, oh my god, I'm freaking exhausted because like I did not sleep all night. Like I did not. And my
nerd.
I know, right? Like I didn't sleep all night long. And like I came in here, I started my job. You know, I'm sitting there answering emails and yada yada yada. And he like my phone goes to ding, and I'm like, oh shit, it's him. And it only brought up his name. It didn't send me the message, so I freaking was like, okay, accepted offer.
Nice.
And dude, like I'm pretty sure I stole, like essentially stole it.
Yeah, you stole that book for sure, no question.
I mean, that's how I feel after I got that Stanley X-Men off of you, where I was like,
you did a little. We're able to. Oh, by the way, that's in the press.
Oh,
right now.
So, fellas, it's late here. I'm gonna dip. I got to be up early.
Yeah, it's 1:30. I should be going pretty soon too.
Yeah, I figure I'll do our last two.
I really appreciate you guys. I had a blast tonight.
Yeah.
Love y'all. Travis, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you for answering all the questions.
Yeah, man.
I'm looking forward to Granite State Punk.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
So I'll gonna join up the Kickstarter tonight.
Yeah, awesome. Pick a pledge and
all right.
We'll
and then he's gonna send me the link, and then I'm gonna do it too.
Nice.
It's in the description of the video, J1.
Dude, I don't pay attention to that stuff. I just
I'll tell you one quick Stan Lee story. So Stan Lee, for his last signing here in Florida, my friend was like, I stood in line the whole time. I got you a signature from Stan Lee. And I was like, oh, really? Like, that's really awesome of you. Thank you. My friend brought me Ravager 2000 fucking 99. He stood in line to get Ravager fucking signed.
Oh my God.
I got it. Turok.
To be a friend of mine. Like he was just like, oh, I wanted to do something nice for you. That's not nice. That's actually
Hold on. Let me show you that it's not a Ravager 2099. I think that beats this, but you got to see this. I don't have it on my computer as easily available, but I have it right here. And I think you'll love it because, I mean, who in God's name would have this book signed by Stan Lee? Give me just a second.
My local store has Daredevils 1 through 7.
You ready?
Yep.
Modern Life. Nice.
See, at least Ravager, he wrote it. Like yours is actually worse.
I mean, it has nothing to do with Stan Lee at all. I mean, that's just so great. Who the fuck has Rocco's Modern Life signed by Stan Lee thinking that's a good idea?
I want it if you're now.
Walk has it, sir. Walk has it.
Walk has it.
That should be like a gag gift, like where you're like build somebody up and like, you don't want someone who will sell it, but you keep giving it to other people or collectors. Hey man, you bought a lot for me this last little bit.
Does that look familiar?
Yeah.
Poser?
Yeah,
Look familiar, brother?
a little bit.
Is this your baby?
Little X44.
Is this your baby?
Yeah, I cried.
I know. I just wanted to remind you.
Yeah. All right, let's do 2 more giveaways.
Right.
These last 2 are definitely Travis centric. So everybody who was either here in the chat or threw in a super chat, I appreciate it. So I don't know which one I'm gonna click on first, but I'm gonna pick a tab.
Are we gonna do it again next week?
Giveaway shit.
No, talk.
Oh yeah.
Good, because I want to talk about Silver Surfer Rebirth next week.
Yeah, because that book was ridiculously good.
Fucking A, right?
Okay.
Okay.
So here's our super chat giveaway, and I'm gonna make a sticky note spot. So everybody who threw on the super chat, you are getting 2 of the limited edition Kickstarter covers on any of Travis's projects up to this one, plus 3 more books that I think are dope. And they may be tailored to you. They may be more Travis books if I think you will like them. But I have a lot of books from Travis's Kickstarters because I think they are amazing.
No.
So here we go.
I'm rooting for Deadpools.
This is
Come on,
the
Deadpools.
longest spin in my entire life.
I added time just so you could say that.
No, not gonna
No,
be
we're
Deadpool.
gonna hit a wall of 2 boys.
Maybe.
Gotta make it to Sassy. Come on, Sassy. Oh.
We're gonna get to the yellow at least.
Congrats, 2 boys.
Oh,
Damn, that's slow.
Is it gonna make it? Nope. Although I might need to send Sassy a Voodoo Nation since she's from New Orleans. Yeah, she's feeling robbed. All right, so our other
shut it
final
up,
giveaway-
crack.
Is this our digital collection?
Yes.
Okay.
The In the Chat giveaway. This is the digital collection of literally everything that has come out from Orange Cone,
Correct.
with the exception of Granite State Punk. And I
It's
made the
not out.
declaration earlier. What?
Because it's not out.
Yeah.
It is everything that's out. You are correct in your original statement.
So if you do not give Travis $5 for a digital copy of Granite State Punk, then you're a dick. And J1, I didn't put you on this wheel. Because I think I shared with you a third of the digital collection so I could go, hey, read these things so you can ask Travis questions. And I knew you would not be mad about that.
And I'm about to give that folder to the back so you can give it to the awards thing and you can grab it there.
Yay!
There you go. All right. So this is the thank you for being here and saying anything in the chat tonight. So I appreciate everybody who's shown up, and I think 3 hours is now our longest shop talk ever. So I will take that. Uh-oh. Oh, I know how to find Umpty. It can go to Umpty, not the guy from Twitch who...
Oh.
Gonna
Oh.
go to Umpty Ump?
You're good. You're good.
No, I don't think you are.
Oh, Umptyscratch!
His name is Umpty, pronounced with a umpty.
I love Umpty that when I finally get to take a picture of all of my short boxes in my storage room, I've got Umpty on a couple of short boxes in here, but he does his Chuck icon, which is the smiley face suit on a bunch of different things. I've got 1 or 2 Chucks in here. I have a million Chucks in my storage room. So Umpty hooked me up with an insane number of D&D like version 1 and 2 source printings that I've gotten here.
Oh, wow.
I sent some insane stuff to Todd since he's DMing our current campaign that I was like, you can have an OG Dungeon Master's Guide because I know you won't sell it, that you'll pine over it. So I'm glad that I can send this to Umpty.
Nice.
One of the nicest people, again, in the community, that all of the things I said about Travis supporting everybody on Kickstarter and getting involved with people just all over who wants to engage in comic talk, regardless of whether or not it's his. Umpty is that glue between Funko collectors and comic collectors here on YouTube, where it's like, I'm into all these things.
Right.
Plus, oh, you like other nerdy shit? Let's talk other nerdy shit. So I feel like it's a good karmic balance,
right,
for us to go to Umpty, just based on you are the yin and the yin, no, yin and yang is not necessarily bad. So you're the yin and the yang of different community bases for different reasons.
Balanced. He's balanced, sir.
Yeah, it's a good balance.
Yeah,
so.
Well, next time we're on, you and I have never done a My Funko Pop tour, because I've got Funko Pops, of course. I've got all the Office. I've got all the Hamiltons. I've got all the Magnetos. We could do a tour.
There we go. That's what you and I will schedule. Let's just show people how bad we are at managing our money.
Right. Yeah, we could play a game. We could be like, "Hey, Travis, do you have this for first appearance?" And I dig through boxes. You can just watch, and we'll see if we can find it.
Nice. There you go. It will be the one-man categories of, can you find this, Travis? 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, right. You have 10 minutes. If you don't find it, you have to sell it. What?
Don't say things like that. Give me money.
All right. Umpty, I will share with you when it decides to load on this computer your victory of the digital collection. I hope you enjoy all of those different things. And I know Umpty will definitely back you for $5 because, again, if there's one person who is categorically not a dick, it's Umpty.
Right.
So Sassycajun and 2 boys on their pops host a show called Popping Around the World, where they just talk to all kinds of collectors. She says she wants to get you in.
Sure.
So you're Jester Lou on both IG and Twitter, right?
Correct.
So Sassy will hit you up.
Me, we can figure it out.
Yeah. That they're, now that it's gone to Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, that's where you can find Travis Sassy. I think Travis would be
I can't believe we've never had this talk though, Pop. We may need to do something now. Do you know I have custom pops for my characters? You don't know that, do you, Poser?
Are you trying to take more of my money?
Yes.
No.
I didn't spend money tonight, and Travis is like,
let's revise.
If you back me at 69,
they're custom made. My wife made them for me. But I will go get them right now if you'd like to see them. If you need that, but to end the show on a good note.
Look, Jelly's comment. Look at Jelly's comment.
Yeah, I would say pick one and then save the rest for Popping Around the World. That I think, for as much as I want to see all of them now, show me the best one that your wife has done.
No, we're not going to do that. Do you want Brokedown or do you want Voodoo Nations?
Brokedown.
Okay. I'll be right back.
As much as I love Voodoo Nations, you know that Brokedown hits everything for me.
I love it when you get all giddy.
Yeah, like
Dude, that's how
I really
day.
enjoyed getting to know Travis over the last 2 years because as much as I would love to be as creative he is, and I won't get there, I can at least try and match some of the collector aspirations of him. So if I can see, okay, Sassy wants a Voodoo Nations, Travis, if you hear me, get one of each, and then you can save the rest.
Dude, that's the way you feel right now is how I have felt all fucking day.
Nice.
It's
Did you get one of each, Travis?
Oh,
Did you hear me?
I got all 3 of them.
Okay.
There's 3, but when we meet with Sassy, I will show her another thing that my wife got me that is not pups, that is cooler in so many other respects. If you love the Muppets.
Oh.
So
and you can show off the paintings because you do the paintings for your wife every Christmas, right?
Oh, yeah. We can show off a lot of stuff. All right.
So there you go. All right.
Randy?
Oh, and they're even in their own boxes.
Oh, yeah. I spread my wife spares no expense.
How?
So you got to get these from a guy named from All Star. And look, can you see it? He's got a little cigarette.
Yeah.
The orange tie, the whole thing, the whole 9. So this is he does custom stuff as All Star Customs, but you need like a year in advance because he does stuff for like Bruno Mars and like celebrities and stuff. Because my wife is not cheap when it comes to like stuff like this. My boy Denver, he's got the case. Oh man!
Oh yeah, he does.
But he's got the case.
Even numbered and freaking everything.
Oh yeah. Oh, so and here's the thing. You want to hear that? So this is Canyon City, where the book comes from. 719. That's the area code. This is 720, which is Denver.
I love it.
That's smart.
So those are custom. Ran in Denver. And then Mr. Bishop Lucas himself.
Oh.
And all his voodoo. Awesome.
Okay, yeah, that's cool as shit.
Look at that.
Yeah. With the art on the back.
Oh yeah.
You married up.
Oh no, my wife's awesome. So what we will show on Sassy Show, because I'll spoil what we're going to show. I have a Randy Muppet.
I'm excited.
So yep, my wife's awesome. So she always
Heather. Heather is also a good part of this conversation because Heather has edited a couple of your books too.
She
right?
She edited them all. She's editor in chief. Anything Orange Cone, she has edited at some point. But yeah.
So there you go. And I might now be creeping on your wife on Facebook and go, "Hey Heather, can you get me some custom Brokedown and Voodoo Nations pops that I can pay you on layaway? Because I didn't come into money because I'm a government babysitter of everybody's teenager."
My wife works in social work. All right. She just she really loves me and she likes special, right? So she
those
likes
are awesome.
Yeah, those are amazing, honestly.
I think it's a great appreciation, right? That she shows appreciation for you and the process that you share together on these books.
Right.
Yeah.
But then I also think that's a good celebration of your art with the nods to the area codes on the Voodoo or on the Brokedown pops, but the Voodoo Nations art on the back of that box.
Yeah, I'll have to ask her what the 55 was. I don't know if it means anything. She normally has some sort of meaning, so I'm not sure.
That might be the age she has planned
to murder me.
Yeah.
So she's just buying stuff for herself.
Yeah. Like that's her reminder. That's all that is. That's just a reminder for her.
Well, she has been pressuring me in the last few weeks that I need to get in the comics closet and write down what's valuable, so we don't get screwed over by like some random person, who's got to go through there. And I was like, all right, I could do that, but it's gonna be a long day because I have not organized my stuff in years. Like, it is a fucking mess. I
have CLZ'd everything that's over there because that's some of my older shit that's not X-Men.
Right.
I have not CLZ'd anything in here. So the number of the exact same fucking like House of X covers that I've bought, and it's like, God damn it, you asshole. Right. You spent $12 on a $3 House of X cover that you've got 3 copies of already. Dumbass. But no, that's awesome. And I know it's super late for you, Travis, because you're on East Coast time.
Yeah, it's 2 a.m.
We're playing Swords when we go pee in the potty because I'm in Kansas and he's in Oklahoma. So, do you have anything else that you want to talk about? You want to plug before?
No. Just, you guys talked to. Thank you guys for having me on. You guys check out Brokedown. Not Brokedown for the buddies, but check that out too. Granite State Punk. It is live on Kickstarter. It really is the best thing I've ever written. I am positive my wife has a pup in production right now for Christmas in 2023. If she does it, I would be sadly disappointed. But it's really good. It's a great book. I think you guys will really enjoy it. Show a little love. But thanks for having me on. Keep reading comics, punk rock, live free or fucking die.
I like that. And Heather, if you're watching this on the rewind, I'm on to you. I will see at what level I have to back the next Kickstarter to also get a 2023 custom pop Christmas present.
And do you want to read them?
You're going to need a Kickstarter for that Kickstarter.
Yeah, there you go. Do you need me to? Do you need it to be random like me, so you don't know what you're getting until Christmas?
There you go. But no, I appreciate that. Like I said, the link to both the Kickstarter for Granite State Punk is in the description, which, you can get access to literally everything that Travis has written or has worked with through Orange Cone Productions, his production company. You should also definitely, if you have any iota of being interested in how comics, are produced from start to finish, go support him on Substack, right? That I'll always show for Travis because everything that I've read of his or backed of his has been amazing. Even if I didn't know who the fuck Travis was, the level of access to be able to influence the creation of a comic, let alone see what that entire process looks like behind closed doors, is at least worth the price of admission alone. So that's where you can keep track of all of Travis's exploits. Like I said at the beginning of this, when I sounded less like Flo at the diner, he's the busiest person in comics. That for the one Kickstarter that he has live right now, he probably has 6 more that he's putting the finishing touches on to get ready to launch. There you go. Screenshot that whiteboard, slow it down and analyze it like the Zapruder film, because you'll know everything that Travis is up to the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, there's a title on there of a book that no one has knows anything about. I haven't told anybody except for the people doing it.
Yeah, I'm going to slow that down and look at it then. I feel it would be a disservice. I think the only reason that AMKM is not here tonight.
Yeah. Good.
I'm pretty good.
All right. We're not doing this again, dog. I'm done.
The last one.
I can't.
I'm getting ready to Photoshop and edit the shit out of that to make so many exploitation videos.
Oh, candy please.
Yes. And it's going to be fun. That I will now troll AMKM in the same way that I just start finding all of the pictures I can of Meta's face and putting it all over shit, that now maybe AM might be putting Meta in KM's ass.
Right.
Oh my God, could you Photoshop it where AM is putting Meta's face on KM's back?
Yes, that's what I'm going to work on at school tomorrow.
Oh,
just
God.
because of this conversation. But
sorry.
To everybody who's shown up tonight, I appreciate you. Travis, thank you so much for spending
No problem.
almost 4 hours with us on a Thursday night and a Friday that we're now halfway back to a session of D&D. So, you know, I'll now DM you through your universe halfway in some shape or form.
I just have at 7. That's fine. Let's start. Let's go.
really hands and feet. Everybody who won something tonight, I will reach out to you tomorrow while I am at school and get it shipped by Monday. But we appreciate your support. Travis has set a high bar for future guests, and as Jelly said, anytime you want to come back and not talk what you're doing, even though maybe at least I've got J1 and Jelly aboard on the Substack that I tugged at those wheels. We can get you to Top Shop with a shop talk.
Yeah. Well, maybe we're rolling big with the crew when we do Cthulhu Invades Wonderland in March. We'll bring a full crew.
Yeah, we'll do that because that was our first interview was Cthulhu Invades Oz. That Stoney was like, I don't know if you know this Travis guy. And then I think at one point there were more people on or waiting in the green room of the stream who were actually watching at that point in time. So I'm ready to take that challenge on again, is to get just fucking Dutch door action of everybody that I can.
Right.
But
we can start collecting Wonderland pups to hand out for gifts.
Done. Done. All right. We'll end this in the same way that we end everything, y'all. Thanks for stopping by and have a good one.